Chapter 1. Give me freedom, or give me death. Brain storage place. Brain-eating monster buffet. It hurts so much. I regret it. I shouldn't have made a living in a place like the United States. Is that a place where I can make a good living? But if you don't work hard, few people will read the flower book, let alone the big daddy who buys gifts. What can a failed art student do in the United States? Follow Fatty Ding to get relief meals? I'm afraid that my chrysanthemums will be ruined at night. Someone was looking for him along the internet cable, but before the federal police could wait, a heavy truck sent him on his way. Heavy truck? Fish up, don't pretend to be dead for me. Adolf opened his eyes, raised his body with difficulty, and looked around. People on both sides of the road were kneeling with their heads lowered. Behind them were 3 dancing girls in purple clothes, 3 7-meter-tall men, and 2 seemingly tough but extremely decadent men. They only wore collars around their necks, and they were obviously slaves. In front of him, a good-looking woman wearing bubble wrap came up and looked at him extremely arrogantly. Dragon people? One Piece. As an art student, the biggest career direction is art production. Of course, he has read second-generation travels and drawn many books. The characters in it are quite familiar. Even in order to draw a more realistic book, I went to the stick country, the island country, and the free country successively to seek feelings, see, touch, and memorize, and personally feel the vivid changes and charm of their every move. Pure artistic behavior. That's right, I am the celestial dragon Shalulia Palace, and you are my mermaid slave. Remember this. Shalulia Palace waved her whip. Mermaid slave? Looking down at his slender lower body, with bright sky-blue scales and a wide flat tail fin, he is as dreamy as a legendary mermaid. But he is a boy, so he is suitable to be a girl's dream. But wearing a thick collar around his neck is a symbol of slavery. I traveled through the world of One Piece. The dream came back to reality, and for a moment I woke up, and memories came flooding back to my mind. Adolf, male, 22 years old, white shark mermaid, loves painting. Since childhood, he has been yearning for the terrestrial world mentioned by Princess Otoheim, and hopes to draw all the beautiful things. Then came barbecue. I heard that mermaids are the fastest swimmers in the world. I want to keep him in a piranha pond, and then watch the piranhas chase him. St. Charles suggested excitedly with his nose dragging. No, that will kill you too quickly. I'll give it to you when I've had enough fun. Shalulia Palace refused. She was very interested in mermaids and didn't know how much juice she could squeeze out. You are not qualified to say that, Charles. My captain series died in your hands in a few days, and you don't cherish it at all. The head of the family, St. Roswaiter, expressed dissatisfaction. Come on, you asked the master to wait for you. Shalulia Palace said and whipped him without mercy. However, when everyone turned around and prepared to continue setting off, Adolf actually caught it. With one hand, he grabbed the whip that was hitting him. Is there vulgar pornography in this paragraph? Bastard, you dare to grab the Draconian's whip. Do you want to resist? Even a mere fish dares to resist the Draconian. Shalulia Palace was annoyed and took out the pistol directly from her arms. Resist? Of course you have to resist. How could I be captured and made a slave? Adolf thought about the fate of the Draco slaves. How could he follow them? How could he not go crazy and fight? He grabbed the long whip and pulled it suddenly, pulling Shalulia Palace over. He grabbed her neck with one hand and held her in his arms. The other hand reached into her clothes first and grabbed the celestial dragon pistol. Bang! Don't even move. If you move, I'll kill her. The loud sound of the gunshot shocked everyone present, and they all stared at him dumbfounded. No one expected that this mermaid slave would suddenly explode and seize Shalulia Palace as a hostage. That's the celestial dragon, world noble. You stinky fish actually dare to reach out and touch me. How dare you? I'm going to kill. The first thing that arose in Shalulia Palace was not fear, but extreme anger. But before she could finish speaking, Adolf strangled her neck with his left hand, suffocating her. Her face turned red and she couldn't even utter a single word. Are you going to fight the celestial dragons to the end? Guards! Guards, come on. Kill him. Veins popped up on St. Roswaiter's forehead. I'm going to skin him and hang him on top of the piranha and let him be eaten bit by bit. St. Charles shouted with the same annoyance. For the celestial dragons, even the king is no more than a pariah, and the slaves bought with money are even more lowly. And now a lowly slave dares to bang them? Choke the Tianlong people by their necks? He even ignored being treated as a hostage and could kill her with one shot. In their minds, how dare slaves and untouchables harm them? They are descendants of the Creator, and the whole world belongs to them. No matter where you go, even the king must kneel down. The guards rushed over quickly. If the Tianlong people were harmed, all of them would die. Shut up, everyone. Boom. Adolf became even more crazy and shot Roswald in the thigh without hesitation, and blood spurted out from the gun hole. He had never used a gun before, but it was too close. How could he miss at such a close distance? It hurts so much. My legs, my legs. Kill him all for me. St. Roswaiter fell to the ground and rolled around with his legs in his arms, his face twisted and screaming. Father! St. Charles was panicked. Only then did he realize that something was wrong. This mermaid really knew how to shoot. Back off. Everyone, back off, or I'll beat them to death. Adolf grabbed Shalulia Palace by the neck and came to the other two Draconians. He fired 2 shots in a row, killing the Tianlong guard who was rushing at the front and shocking everyone. I really don't dare to take a step forward now. A shot was fired. A shot was really fired. Run quickly. The celestial dragon has been shot. The general is coming soon. Everyone run. This island is finished. Completely finished. Get out to sea quickly. Big event. The Tianlong people were kidnapped by slaves. The people kneeling on both sides of the road looked at the scene in disbelief. When the shots were fired, everyone ran away and even went a sea to leave the island. No one dared to stay for half a second. Stop. Do you know the consequences of doing this? Those are the celestial dragons, world noble. Let them go. The guard shouted anxiously. I have been captured as a slave. Do I care who they are? If you dare to take a step away from me, I will kill you immediately. When he noticed St. Charles crawling away from him, he shot him in the leg without hesitation. Father, I feel so much pain. My leg is bleeding, it's bleeding. St. Charles screamed like a pig being killed. Stop. Stop it. All the guards looked at it with eyes wide open, and the world was about to collapse. Back off again. Otherwise I will kill one of them, and there will still be 2 Tianlong hostages. But the Tianlong people who were killed died because of you people. Adolf yelled even louder, his eyes crazy, and he suppressed them with his voice. All the guards were forced to retreat again, not daring to take a step forward or even make a small move. In this situation, all of them went crazy, almost on the verge of collapse and violence. The other 8 slaves looked at the scene in shock. The world noble celestial dragons were actually taken hostage by slaves? They even shot and wounded 2 celestial dragons. Chapter 2 Follow My Command. What? The mermaid slave went on a rampage, took Tianlong as a hostage, and even wounded him with a gun? Warring States suddenly stood up after receiving the information. It's really a big trouble to have something happen to the Tianlong people just after becoming a general. Akainu Sakaski looked up with a cigar in his mouth. How long did it take for the Fishman pirates founded by Tiger to be eliminated? What do they want to do? Akainu, I'm going with you. Sengoku gritted his teeth and boarded the warship with Akainu. The replacement of old and new, during the period when he first became Fleet Admiral, he really couldn't bear this kind of incident. Marine is right next to the Sabaody Islands, and it didn't take much time in the past. However, the Marines in the Sabaody Islands are faster, and they are stationed here. But after Marines surrounded a group of people, no one dared to step forward, let alone shoot. Whoever dares to take a step forward will die with the Tianlong people. With such a close-range explosion, it's impossible for the Tianlong people to be safe. Key. Bring me the key to the collar, otherwise the celestial dragons will bury me with you. Adolf was crazy. The collar is a triggered explosion or remotely controlled. However, the moment just now was too sudden. Shalulia Palace was controlled in one fell swoop, and she was even held to a position where she was in direct contact with his collar. In this case, even if the explosion is directed inward, it can still damage Shalulia Palace. Gudu. However, no one moved despite his shouting. They all gulped secretly and looked at Adolf anxiously. You, go get the key. Otherwise I will kill him now. Adolf immediately designated a guard and pointed his gun at the celestial dragon Shalulia Palace in his arms. 2 Tianlong people have been wounded by gunshots, and no one dares to doubt whether it is true or false. I'm going right now. The guard panicked and lost all his weapons. Adolf, get the key and leave as soon as possible, otherwise the entire Fishman Island will be buried with you. The brigadier general from the headquarters shouted nervously. Shut up. Tell your people to put down their guns. I'll kill whoever goes off first. Adolf roared like a mad dog at the end of his rope. The brigadier general at the headquarters had no temper at all, for fear that he would really bite him like crazy. This gun is already at Tianlongren's head. How dare he still have a temper? If he has a temper now, his whole family will lose it. Everyone lower their guns and take their fingers off the trigger. Turn the cannon around and take out the shells. Not a single Marine hesitated. They all did as he was told. They have been in the Sabaody Islands for so long, and they still don't know what the celestial dragons are? To put it bluntly, they were more panicked than Adolf. If someone broke a jar and fell to the ground, how could they be the same? Time flies very fast, but everyone feels like the days are like a year, and the pressure is too much. Adolf was panting, and the tremendous pressure caused his adrenaline to surge. But in this extreme situation, the body surged with infinite power, which was the squeezed desire to survive, and even the original physical pain was forgotten. Here are the keys. The guard ran over with a bunch of keys. Stop and don't come here. Throw it over. Throw the key over here. Adolf shouted, not letting them get close at all. Don't go there. Don't irritate him. The key was thrown lightly in front of Adolf. All he had to do was pick it up and open the collar, and he would be free again. But his eyes were fixed on the keys on the ground, not daring to pick them up. He was afraid that he would be attacked the moment he bent down. The people in the pirate world are so scary. It takes 6 or 7 seconds for an ordinary person to run 100 meters. In the pirate world, does it take 1 second for a strong person to run 100 meters? Not to mention the superhuman stun of shaving. If he wasn't afraid of anything unexpected, the brigadier general at the headquarters would have been strong. Everyone obeys the order. Move back 10 meters. Adolf, I can make way for you to leave. As long as you enter the sea, you will be free, but the Tianlong people must be let go. The brigadier general at headquarters was even more nervous. When Adolf looked at the other 8 slaves in the distance, do you want to be free? Whether this happened to me or not, becoming a celestial dragon slave will lead to death, unless there is a miracle. But now it's a miracle. Open the collar with the key. I can give you a chance to live. The only chance dash. The 8 people looked at each other, and even looked at the 3 embarrassed Tianlong people. Please, mermaid. Save us. You will be my good big brother from now on. Even if I die with these celestial dragons buried with me, it's worth it. Do my best. None of the 8 people hesitated. They quickly ran over to pick up the keys and open the collars around their necks. The 5 men are the Captain Series slaves of Roswaiter Saint. They are huge in size. Although they are not as good as the giants, they can allow the Draco to ride on their backs. At the same time, as the captain of a pirate ship, he has the strength to have a bounty of 30 million to 50 million. The other 3 purple-clothed dancers are very beautiful. One look at their figures, but they have no strength. It's unlocked. It's really unlocked. Free. We are free. Cool, haha. The collars are untied one by one. Freedom is regained, and even the heart is freed. What are you yelling about? Did you escape? Adolf scolded. Let them calm down and circle Adolf one by one. Facing Marine, boss, as long as you give the order, we will take you out immediately. One of the dancers in purple came forward slowly, personally helped Adolf untie his collar, and said gratefully, thank you. Let's talk about it after we escape. The collar was untied, and Adolf breathed a sigh of relief. Although he clamored to be buried with the celestial dragons when he died, did the celestial dragons deserve the life of a dog? Let go, fish. You are so afraid of death that you don't dare to kill us, because if you kill us, these Marines will kill you immediately, and the Marine headquarters will destroy the entire Fishman Island. But I have to say that you won, because your life is not worth the gamble for us Tianlong people. Even if you are injured, it will be a shame. Shalulia Palace was extremely unwilling to speak. It could be seen that she had brains and extraordinary courage. She was not afraid even if a gun was pressed against her head. Yes, I don't want to die. But without the determination to die and live together, how can we live? So please cooperate with me, noble Tianlong. Veins popped up on Adolf's forehead. His left hand firmly held her neck, and his arm controlled her arm, resisting the urge to tear her into pieces. The other 2 Tianlong people who were shot in the thigh were wailing in front of him, not giving them a chance to make small moves behind him. Okay, in the name of the Tianlong people, I declare you free and exempt you from your crimes. This is the Sabaody Islands. Admiral Marine will be here soon. Without the orders of the celestial dragons, you can't escape at all. Even if you escape, you will still be hunted down by Marine. Even though Shalulia Palace had fallen to this point, it was still extremely arrogant, betting that he would not dare to kill them. This is the confidence of the descendants of the Creator, their dignity. General Marine can be mobilized if he is found in trouble. If he is killed, the consequences can be imagined. The other 8 slaves who were on guard were excited. There is a command from Tianlong to release them. As long as they escape, they will be free. Idiot, I only believe in myself. It's only true if we leave alive. Adolf shouted, reminding the 8 people who had just been liberated. Now, follow my command. Marine leads the way. I want a warship that can go to sea. You bring the 2 celestial dragons on the ground. I want to be able to see them. Quick, can't you hear me? Adolf immediately pointed his gun at St. Charles. This time not the torso, but the head. Lead the way for them. As long as the Tianlong people are released, they will do whatever they say. Chapter 3 Sengoku Akainu. I want you to kneel down and hold your head. It's a warship, I saw it. I saw the sea. Quick, get out of my way. The huge man of 7 or 8 meters who opened the way in front was excited. After only 2 or 3 steps, The excitement in his eyes turned into fear, and his body even started to tremble. Boats, so many boats. The entire Sabaody Islands are surrounded by warships. It's General Marine. War, Sengoku Fleet Admiral is here. Derek, who was 7 to 8 meters tall, had a vast field of vision, but he also saw despair at the first moment. Others were even more unbearable, even with their legs weak and sitting on the ground. It's so fast. Adolph's face darkened. Shalulia Palace, I hope you understand what to do. Are you scared? Shalulia Palace, who had a gun pressed against her head, sneered. Adolph took a deep breath and suppressed his emotions. With your superior attitude, I can't wait to tear you apart right now. Don't provoke me. It's true that I am a low-class person to you, but people at the bottom don't think their lives are so important. When they are cornered, they will do anything to kill each other or kill for revenge. He himself has never killed anyone, but he was forced to this point. Why wouldn't he dare to kill someone? Even now he wants to kill these 3 Tianlong people. The worst he can do is die. But as a time traveler who came to the world of pirates and had infinite possibilities, how could he be willing to die like this? Everyone stop. Sengoku Fleet Admiral, General Akainu. The Marine who was leading the way made way for the Marine Admiral and even the Marine Fleet Admiral to come with the elite of the headquarters. Adolph didn't even see the sea before he met with the highest level of Marine. This terrifying power that easily destroyed the islands one by one made his hands tremble. He was not confident even if he was holding a hostage, and his breathing became rapid under the huge pressure. Shalulia Palace couldn't breathe because he unconsciously clenched his hands. His face was red, and he struggled hard. Stop. I'm going to die. Warring States, save me. Noticing the struggle in his arms, Adolph forced himself to calm down and relax slightly. Before he even noticed it, the huge pressure awakened some kind of power sleeping in his body, as if a treasure mountain containing infinite potential was constantly being unearthed. In just a short time, my physical fitness has even reached the level of a colonel at the headquarters. And control instinctively, there is no uncontrollable situation at all. Release Carulia Palace. I can let you leave. Warring States Fleet Admiral swept over, especially the 2 Tianlong people who had been shot. Their expressions were extremely heavy. Fisher Tiger, Adolph. Do you all want to bring destruction to Fishman Island? General Akainu's face was gloomy, and a forceful aura swept through him, making it difficult to breathe. Boss. The other 8 people all looked at Adolph. If you fail to uphold justice, then you will be fined. But if you don't distinguish between right and wrong, you will be threatened? Veins popped up on Adolph's forehead. You mean, even if you are captured and turned into a slave, you can't resist? This is justice for you, Marine. Yes. This island is right next to the Marine headquarters. There is even a Marine base stationed in the Sabaody Islands. It is only this far away from the slave auction site. But you still turn a blind eye, no dash? This is a slave auction house protected by your Marine. Adolph shouted. The last sentence shocked Warring States' heart, and he clenched his fist tightly. How humiliating it was. The word justice behind the scenes has become the biggest joke. Marine from the Sabaody Islands looked away and had no face to face him. What they saw when stationed here was even filthier than what he said. Sharp-tongued. Kid, this world is not as simple as you think. In order to maintain world peace, even Marine has to make concessions. A few sacrifices are necessary. Akainu's eyes were cold and indifferent, showing no change at all. Yes, it is worth sacrificing for victory. Then when it's your turn to sacrifice, are you willing? What? Sengoku Akainu didn't understand what he meant. Adolph lifted the Carulia Palace a little, but without any support, he lifted it with one hand by the neck. Stop, what do you want to do? Warring States' expression changed. Do you know what happens when a celestial dragon is killed? Akainu looked gloomy. Kneel down. Huh? Sengoku Akainu was stunned. Adolph suddenly shouted, Didn't you hear me? I want you. Kneel down. Hold your head. The sound of madness spread across most of the island, shocking Sengoku Akainu and the 2 of them, with expressions of astonishment on their faces. What did you say? I didn't expect that they would be asked to kneel down and hold their heads, as the Marine's highest fleet admiral and the most powerful general. Ugh. Adolph's eyes were crazy, and he slowly tightened his hands on his neck, making Shalulia Palace unable to breathe again. But this time the force continued to intensify, and it seemed like he was about to crush his neck. It directly suffocated Shalulia Palace's brain and blurred her vision. Stop. Zhangguo gritted his teeth. The anger in his heart seemed to be turning into reality, and he wanted to tear him alive. The first rule for being promoted to Fleet Admiral is to be loyal to the Celestial Dragons. Become the Celestial Dragon's dog, right? Now the Tianlong people are going to die in my hands. As dogs, isn't it the time for you to show your loyalty? I haven't even asked you to commit suicide yet. Adolf grinned wildly and looked at them. Kneel down. I order you to kneel down. Sengoku, Akainu, do you want to watch the celestial dragons die in front of you? St. Roswaiter and St. Charlos yelled even more crazily. Compared to the lives of Tianlong people, your dignity is more important, right? Hahaha. It seems dogs are not loyal enough, Marine. Adolf was so arrogant. These words directly made the two of them tremble. Akainu crushed the cigar, his teeth chattering, and a wave of heat spurted out with anger in his eyes. It was as if a volcano was erupting at the next moment, trying to destroy everything in sight. He glared wildly and fiercely, and his powerful aura instantly enveloped him. This is murderous intent, ghostly aura, fierce aura, and evil aura. All the hardships a strong person goes through along the way will become nutrients and become part of their aura. Ordinary warriors who have experienced hundreds of battles can be frightened by even one look. Just like Monet was so shocked by Zoro that he couldn't even control his body. Adolf, you are too arrogant. Sengoku even used conquerors to attack. Adolf's pupils shrank. Akainu's fierce aura seemed to be struck by countless natural disasters and destruction, completely destroying him. Warring States period conquerors felt like the sky was falling, and his heart was gripped in an instant. This is the strongest level of the sea, with the terrifying power to destroy islands. Ordinary people are simply not the same species in front of them. But, I am humble and only have one life, so why should I fear death? Screaming heartbreakingly and madly, breaking all unwillingness and all the constraints in the heart. So what if I die? He only has one life. Some kind of shackles in the body are broken, and the broken remaining consciousness bursts out from the pupils. Boom! The invisible airwaves washed away, and there were actually black and red streaks, like snakes and lightning dancing wildly in the air. It can be seen from the black and red snakes that were struck that the two powerful momentums collided and actually withstood the Warring States conquerors. The sea is boiling and the waves are rolling. The nearby fish and shrimp had already been knocked unconscious by the terrifying domineering force. The marines, celestial dragons, dancers, and freed slaves who got close were all stunned. Even if it only covers my body, I can really withstand it. Under the huge high pressure, there seems to be no limit. As long as it is squeezed, it can be dug out no matter how much it is, and it can even be stretched outwards a little bit. Surely. Sungwa's pupil shrank. Unexpectedly, it inspired him conquerors? He even noticed the 3 celestial dragons and quickly stopped the conqueror's oppression. If he continued, he was afraid that the brains of these 3 Tianlong people would collapse. After all, these 3 heavenly dragons, humans and pigs, are too weak. Boom! A column of blood spurted out from the forehead of St. Charos. Sengoku and Akainu's pupils dilated, and their brains went blank. Adolf actually killed the celestial dragons in front of them. Sengoku, Akainu, I want you to kneel down and hold your heads. Didn't you hear that? With cold eyes, the gun is pointed at another celestial dragon, St. Roswaiter. Chapter 420 Ultimate Devil Fruits. What did you say? Akainu gritted his teeth. In all the years I have been a Marine, I have never suffered such humiliation, even if I have a white beard. Bang! Before he could even take a step forward, Sangwa suddenly grabbed his head from behind and pinned him to the ground. Sakaski, what do you want to do? Are we going to ignore the safety of St. Roswaiter? Sengoku pressed Akainu's head. Veins popped out on his forehead to suppress his anger, but he still knelt on the ground. Sengoku. Akainu raised his head with difficulty and actually knelt down. Even the Marine Fleet Admiral was on his knees. Don't forget that you are Marine General, directly subordinate to the Tianlong people. Sengoku's wide eyes were also filled with unwillingness. As a Marine Fleet Admiral, he is even more unacceptable than Akainu. Doesn't he, the Fleet Admiral, have no face? But the Marine Fleet Admiral is directly subordinate to the Tianlong people. If a celestial dragon died in front of them, they were already to blame. If they continued to ignore the safety of the celestial dragon, they would have only 2 ways to go. Either betray Marine and become a pirate, or be imprisoned and impelled down. The celestial dragons can die, but that is when they have nothing to do with them. The celestial dragons who regarded the destruction of the country as a game are dead. If a country is involved, then this country will definitely be destroyed. If pirates are involved, the entire pirate group will be destroyed. Even if Kaido, who thinks about how to cause trouble every day, would break into Mariajoya, it's not uncommon for the celestial dragons to go out, right? Has he ever gone out to kill the celestial dragons? That's not making trouble, it's seeking death. We did what you said. What other requirements are there to release St. Roswaiter and Shalulia Palace? Zengwa knelt on the ground and held his head in his hands, his body trembling. He was afraid that he couldn't control himself and would kill the kid in front of him at all costs. At worst, he would become a pirate. Akainu was also kneeling on the ground. His hands were trembling, and he was using his last rationality to suppress his temper and hugged her up little by little. The atmosphere around Nu's body was distorted. It was the high temperature of the magma's power. Adolf looked at this scene, grinning from the corner of his mouth to his ears, and the madness in his heart was vented to the greatest extent. Ha 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 ha. This is Marine Fleet Admiral, Admiral Marine. What a dog from the celestial dragons. Enough with the irony. Adolf, say your terms. Sengoku's face was twisted with suppressed anger. Plop, plop, plop. The elite Marines who had not yet fainted knelt down one by one, raised their guns above their heads, and completed the standard military salute of a certain country. No matter how unwilling he is, even the Sengoku Fleet Admiral General Akainu knelt down and held his head. Are these little soldiers still standing? Huh. Warring States looked over and said, what's going on? Who told you to kneel down? But Warring States Fleet Admiral, even you? The sailor was completely confused. Idiot. He used the Tianlong people to make us surrender. Why are you kneeling down? How can you confront the enemy when you even raise your gun? Warring States yelled. Yes. He quickly wanted to lead the soldiers to stand up. Adolf held Shalulia Palace's neck and said, huh? Warring States period. Akainu. Marine stood up halfway. Kneel down honestly, even bend down, which looks particularly humble. Damn it, tell me your conditions. The Warring States period steel teeth were almost broken, and everyone was so worried. Then I'll give you 10 devil fruits for each celestial dragon. 5 of them must be ancient species, fantasy beast species, Logia, and the best paramecia can also be used. By the way, please come with a devil fruit illustrated book. 2 celestial dragons only have 20 pieces, which is only 2 billion for Marine, let alone world government. Adolf demanded with a grin. Impossible. 10 top fruits? Marine can cultivate 10 powerful combat powers. Akainu directly rejected it without thinking. Forget about 20 garbage fruits, Logia, ancient species, fantasy beast species, and top-quality paramecia. Can those be bought with 100 million belly? Oh, is it so? The decision was made so quickly. Adolf aims his gun at St. Roswald again. Wait, Marine doesn't have that many top-quality fruits. I will report it to the world government and collect the devil fruits you want as quickly as possible, Sengoku said quickly. Saying that, he turned on the phone. Sengoku, bring those 3 idiots back to Maria Joya. The voice of the 5 elders came, obviously thinking that Sengoku's rescue was completed. Sorry. Adolf took the Tianlong people as hostages and has not yet rescued St. Roswader and Carulia Palace. In addition, St. Charlos is dead, Sengoku said. Trash, Marine Admiral and Fleet Admiral went out in person, but they couldn't save a person from a slave. Instead, a celestial dragon died. Is this what you are capable of? The voice of the 5 elders yelled, full of anger. Adolf awakened conquerors under the impact of my conquerors. He is definitely not an ordinary slave. Warring State said, awakening conquerors? The 5 elders were stunned. 5 elders, in order to prevent him from harming the other 2 Tianlong people, Sengoku Fleet Admiral and I are forced to kneel here. Akainu was very dissatisfied and very unwilling. Sakaski, even one of the Dracos died. What does your General Fleet Admiral's face mean? He should have been stepped on by the Dracos. The 5 elders were indifferent, and it was just the face of the General Fleet Admiral. They are even considering whether to imprison them both and impel down for a period of time after the incident is over. A loyal dog doesn't care about its owner's safety and can't protect its owner's safety. What's the point of having such a dog? You can keep chatting if you want. I'll leave first, Adolf said. Adolf, what are your conditions? The 5 elders were silent for a moment, without anger or harsh words. But these dead silent words were the scariest thing. This means there will be revenge afterwards. Destructive revenge? A celestial dragon has 10 devil fruits, 5 of which are of the best abilities, ancient species, phantom beast species, or Logia, and the best paramecia. Impossible. There are too many. 5 devil fruits per person, 2 of which are according to the specifications you mentioned. Adolf grinned. It turns out that the lives of the celestial dragons can also be bargained for. Ha 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 ha. It's not so unattainable. The 5 elders gritted their teeth in annoyance, and the phone bug made an anthropomorphic expression. They realized this, and this matter is not negotiable at all. You have no room for bargaining. 30 minutes. You only have 30 minutes to prepare. If I don't see anything in 30 minutes, one of them will die. You can choose who I want to kill? Adolf said absolutely, leaving no room for anything. In 30 minutes, you will see what you want. After saying that, the caller hung up. In Holy Land Marie Joa, the 5 elders all looked gloomy to the extreme. Whether you like it or not, you must save me in words. If not rescued, It means that the lives of the celestial dragons can be sacrificed. In the future, the Marine Headquarters General and Fleet Admiral will still try their best to rescue the celestial dragons. Will they still be loyal to the celestial dragons? The supreme position of the Tianlong people and people's hearts will collapse. 5 elders. What's the matter? 5 elders called. Saint Fegelind Gieringer. You should immediately lead the Knights of God to the Sabaody Islands as quickly as possible. If we can't save the 2 Tianlong people, then kill them both too. It's okay to be a slave's hostage. It would be a shame for us if we were taken away to take some humiliating photos and spread them. 5 elders coldly issued orders. Not only are you cruel to others, but you are also cruel to yourself. As for devil fruits, they have never thought about redeeming people. Even the world government would be hard-pressed to come up with 10 top-quality devil fruits at once. Understood. Let's set off, the Knights of God. The caller hung up, and Saint Fegelind Gieringer immediately led the Knights of God to dispatch, each one of them with great strength. Chapter 5 Cut off the legs of the celestial dragon. The celestial dragons cannot be humiliated. Even if the celestial dragons are stripped of their identity, they cannot be killed by others. This is disrespectful to the celestial dragons and a serious provocation to the authority of the world government. It can be said that anything related to the celestial dragons will become troublesome. Huh? What just happened? Derek shook his head to wake up, as if in a moment. Looking around, many Marines collapsed on the ground, including the slaves he rescued with him. Unexpectedly, before his mind could reconnect, he looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief and was dumbfounded. Marine Sengoku Fleet Admiral, Admiral Akainu, and the surrounding Marines actually knelt down to the mermaid. What just happened? Is that guy the Dragon King? Wake up. Adolf glanced at the surprise. He had originally planned to give up on these 8 people. In this case, it is impossible to escape with the fainted person. What's more, he is a mermaid and can escape as soon as he enters the sea, so these people become a drag. Big brother. Derek worshipped respectfully. Don't move. Inexplicably noticing Sengoku Akainu's movements, Adolf stopped and subconsciously turned his head. His eyes were fixed on Sengoku Akainu, and even in this highly tense atmosphere, he had faint visions, but he didn't think much about it. Sengoku Akainu's legs that he originally stood on knelt down again and whispered, "Is that seeing and hearing hockey?" If he had been able to see and hear the domineering power, there would be no way he would have been captured as a slave. In other words, in this case, he awakened to the color of seeing and hearing. He narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at Adolf, feeling a huge wave in his heart. A sudden awakening without any training in seeing, hearing, and color is very rare and belongs to genius alone. The highly concentrated spirit and extremely depressive environment became the opportunity for his awakening. And just now, Conqueror's Haki was even awakened. And Ima, are they kneeling here an opportunity for each other to awaken to their feelings? Wake them up. Adolf himself had not noticed this yet, and did not even dare to think about it. Derek acted quickly. Wake up quickly. We are free. We are leaving. While shouting and mouthing, pirates don't know how to be gentle. I was forced to wake up and my face was swollen. Wake up one person and let the others wake up together. Or even force the sailors to get water and pour it on violently, and then wake them all up forcibly in just a few minutes. No one would blame him for being rude at this time. Wait, where are you going? Warring States shouted. Of course I'm waiting on the warship. I'll leave after I get the devil fruit. Are you still waiting here to die? Adolf grabbed the celestial dragon and headed towards the shore. Warring States knelt on the ground and gritted his teeth, but in the end he didn't stop and followed closely behind. Adolf still has 2 celestial dragons in his hands, which means he can still kill another demonstrator. This is because there is only one last heavenly dragon left in hand, but it does not rule out the crazy idea that it is worthwhile to bury all the heavenly dragons with him. But they can't do it. One of them has already died. Another death can't be explained by carelessness or carelessness. It's just a matter of attitude. I don't take Tianlong people into my heart at all. He is like this as the Fleet Admiral. Is Marine still worthy of the trust of the world government? Does it mean that the world government can no longer command them and wants to establish its own business? The nature is so bad. I'm afraid it will be taken down by the Knights of God immediately. Set the boat. Go to sea. Adolf said directly. The 5 captains' boys quickly took action and took control of the rudder to set sail. Follow them. Sengoku Akainu also boarded the warship and led a group of fleets to follow closely. Adolf, don't you want the devil fruit? Sengoku shouted. Yes, but I also have to consider my future. If I get the devil fruit, I will naturally let the celestial dragons go. If anyone dares to get close, don't blame me for being rude. Adolf shouted from the stern deck. Devil fruit? Of course he wants it. There are 20 devil fruits, 10 of which are the best fruits. Any one of them can be the starting point for his rise. Haven't you seen the time travelers traveling with you? There are 13 devil fruit users out of 10, not to mention 10 of the best fruits can be picked up. But how could he really be waiting desperately for this now? I'm afraid he's not waiting for death. The fleet is semi-encircled and follow them. Don't let them out of sight. Warring States ordered. The Marine fleet followed closely behind it, 50 meters away. It was too close. For a strong man like Akainu Sengoku, moonwalk was not even needed. It was just a matter of kicking. It's useless to talk about it. Adolf said. Boss, they are all the same warships. We can't get rid of them. Derek was anxious. With Sengoku Akainu here, we can't escape at all. Brother, run away. You are a mermaid. As long as you jump into the sea, there will be nothing they can do. We would all have died at the hands of the celestial dragons. It's no big deal. It's worth it to have celestial dragons bury us with us. Everyone was anxious, and after finding out that they couldn't escape, they persuaded Adolf to just run away. Although it was a pity for them, they died with no regrets. At least one celestial dragon was buried with them. Go away, you are a good person and should not die here. Actually, you should have left alone just now and left us alone. Give us the celestial dragons and we'll delay. You jump into the sea where Marine can't see you. They won't notice. The 3 purple-clothed dancers said, their eyes full of gratitude. Shut up. We still have a chance. Hang it up. Adolf shouted and interrupted. Derek obeyed the order and grabbed the clothes on the back of St. Roswald and lifted them up. Adolf picked up a sword from the deck of the warship. Wait a minute, what do you want to do? Zengwa's pupils shrank, and he suddenly became panicked. Tear off. Ah! Legs, my legs. St. Roswader screamed heartbreakingly. Blood surged like a column. His right leg was cut off abruptly, and large amounts of blood stained the deck red. Derek's heartbeat accelerated, and he was stunned for a moment. He looked at St. Roswader struggling in his hands in disbelief. He could not forget. He could never forget the humiliation and torture of being whipped by the celestial dragons and being ridden by the celestial dragons. It is simply the darkest moment of life. But this kind of Tianlong was actually picked up in his hand, and one of his legs was chopped off by Adolf. The same is true for other people. They did not see the moment when the holy spear of Charos killed him, but they saw the painful scream of St. Roswald, which directly awakened their souls. You actually cut off one of my father's legs. Hearing the harsh screams, even Shalulia Palace woke up. What's one leg? Haven't you seen that one person is missing? Adolf grinned fiercely. St. Charles? Is it you? Shalulia Palace couldn't believe it. That's right, it's me, and I still used your gun. If you still think you are superior to others and I don't dare to kill the Tianlong people, you can be used next to tell warring states whether I dare to die together. Shalulia Palace's body was trembling, and she no longer had any of the noble posture of world noble. The death of Tianlong Run and having one of her legs chopped off completely crushed her pride in her heart. Adolf grabbed the severed leg, threw it towards Sengoku and the others, and landed on their boat. Damn it! You actually dash! Zhonghua was furious. Veins popped up on his temples, and the flames of anger burned in his heart. Akainu also has a ferocious and twisted face, which makes people feel chilled and frightened. He actually cut off the legs of the celestial dragons and threw them to them. This is not only humiliating, but also a bigger trouble than explosives. Warring states. Don't turn a deaf ear to my words. Do you want them both dead? Say it again, back off. Chapter 6. Silent and speechless. Looking at the legs and bloody limbs of the celestial dragon on the deck, even Sengoku Akainu couldn't help but sweat. They don't care about the death of the celestial dragons. They even wish they could just die. But you must not die in front of them. You have to stay away. Now a leg falls in front of them, which means that St. Roswader's leg being chopped off is directly related to them. Back off. Back off. Warring States panicked and shouted. His throat was hoarse and heartbreaking. The highest level of combat power in the sea, the status and power of Marine Fleet Admiral, has never been so angry and powerless. There has never been. Call. Seeing that the warships of Sengoku and others were no longer approaching and gradually distanced themselves, Adolf was slightly relieved. This distance is not too far. Sengoku Akainu Moonwalk can approach it in 3 to 5 seconds. According to the anime's combat power, it may even be possible to cover this distance with a single trick, but at least there is a private space that can be operated, and it is still getting farther. After all, the Warring States period and the others don't want to see any parts of the Tianlong people thrown over. If you want to throw them into the sea, they will pretend that they don't know. You'll get a big headache if you throw it in his face. Success, big brother. You succeeded. It's so handsome, brother. We can escape. Quick, let the warship speed up and take the opportunity to escape. Everyone shouted excitedly and quickly increased the speed of the warship. Don't waste your efforts. They will keep up if we speed up, so it's impossible to escape out of sight. Adolf said. asking them to calm down, but he felt even more desperate. Even if you open such a long distance, you can't escape. How on earth can one escape? Sure enough, you should go. It's worth it if we can cut this Tianlong into pieces and die, the purple-clothed dancer advised. Yes, for the man who killed the celestial dragon, we can be considered famous throughout the world. Ha. Everyone laughed in joy. Shalulia Palace's expression changed drastically. She was so weak that she knelt on the ground and begged, "Don't kill me. I can order Marine to let you go. I won't pursue your crimes." "Do you think I will believe it?" Adolf said coldly. "What kind of fool would believe such nonsense? What's even more outrageous is that there really are such things in One Piece, and there are quite a few of them. A cruel and ruthless trash who kills people, suddenly realizes his conscience and becomes a partner, and suddenly turns into a hero of justice? A partner who becomes one with each other? But unfortunately, he doesn't believe it. There is still a chance to escape. You should immediately go to the ship to find a completely enclosed wine barrel, or use wood to create a closed space. You enter, and I will pull you away from the sea." Adolf directly told the solution. This? Everyone looked at Adolf hesitantly. "What's wrong?" Adolf asked. "Brother, why don't you take the 3 of them from the bottom of the sea? Women are lighter and can fit into larger wine barrels." Derek scratched the back of his head. Several others smiled awkwardly. Adolf also understood what they meant. He was originally just an ordinary fish from Fishman Island. His strength was slightly stronger than that of ordinary humans, especially his tail strength, and he could swim very fast. Even the small Poseidons could not swim as fast as them. But having to drag 3 7 to 8 meter tall men, 2 34 meter tall men, and 3 young ladies was really difficult. To put it bluntly, anyone who has some strength will not be captured by slave traders. But that was originally. Now, holding the marine iron sword in his hand, with the hilt in one hand and the blade in the other, he broke it with force. It actually broke? Several people were stunned. It's not a hallucination. Adolf looked at his palm, then clenched his fist and punched the mast of the warship. Boom! Break it into pieces with one punch, break and collapse. This is the mast of a large marine warship. It can withstand the wind and rain of the New World. To put it bluntly, it is comparable to steel. And his fist only caused slight pain, but no scars? I've been feeling a constant surge of strength from my body since just now. I thought it was an adrenaline and mental explosion, but I didn't expect it to be true. Close your eyes and feel the changes in your body. The muscles are beating, much weaker than when they were extremely tense before. It seems that the torrent gushing from the collapse of the dam has turned into a small channel, and it is still shrinking. Conqueror's reason? No. Conquerors cannot increase physical strength, and when Doflamingo was hung on the wall, conquerors did not let him break free. Is it some kind of special physique? Quickly, do as Brother Adolf says. Those who want to live, take action. 8 people immediately rushed into the cabin, looking for anything that could be used. Get some bullets and I'll stop his bleeding. Don't let this Tianlong man die so easily. Adolf stopped a dancing girl. Good. Wait a minute. There should be hemostatic medicine on the warship. We can use gauze to bandage it. Shalulia Palace said quickly. However, Adolf strangled St. Roswald's leg with a rope, strangled all the blood vessels, then sprinkled gunpowder on it and lit it on fire. Ah! St. Roswader screamed, managed to stop the bleeding, and fainted. Hemostatic medicine? What are you thinking about? He has no time to make it so complicated. Bulu bulu bulu. Warring States, what happened? 5 elders asked. Where is the person who delivered the fruit? Warring States asked directly as he looked at the legs on the deck. Fruit? How can the world government surrender to a slave? We have sent out the Knights of God. Keep an eye on them, and then hand them over to the Knights of God. Now you should get on the boat and rush over. Warring State silence. Just hang up the phone. Marijoa was built on the Red Earth continent, in the middle. But how wide is the Red Earth continent? That is the supercontinent that surrounds the world and divides the sea. Think about how wide the Grand Line is. 7 routes side by side, that is, 7 huge islands, separated by a large ocean. Now it is indeed very fast to take a boat from Marijoa to the edge of the Red Earth continent. But he really had to wait for the Knights of God to arrive. He wasn't sure how many limbs the celestial dragons had left. Boss has already made it. As a person who sails on the sea, just like he must know how to swim, he must also be able to do some carpentry. At least he can make a raft. Moreover, it is strong and the binding is strong. What are you talking about? Adolf looked at the big bucket in their hands. Brother Adolf, the dancing girl is petite, so just use a big wine barrel. We are too big, so we can only use a barrel to cover our heads. Like this, then use a rope to tie our waists, and we can swim together in the direction. Derek put the wine barrel on his head and demonstrated. The connection between the neck and the barrel is normally impossible to seal, but these guys just use muscles to block the wood and use neck muscles instead of rubber to insulate? It's so outrageous. Well, compared to Luffy and the others, the equipment they went into the sea with is not that outrageous. Bulu bulu bulu. Where are the Knights of God? Sengoku asked in a low voice. The phone bug frowned, obviously dissatisfied. Warring states. You don't need to intervene in the Tianlong people's affairs. Isn't it good for you to follow them? The Knights of God are on their way by boat. No matter how fast it is, it will take half a day. Just be careful and report your location. No matter what kind of torture those two idiots are subjected to, you just need to delay the time until the Knights of God arrive and the farce will be over. The phone bug's face kept changing, and his tone of voice also changed accordingly. It was obviously the words spoken by different people. However, Warring States became more and more silent as he listened, looking at the phone bug in his hand, and then looking up at the warships sinking into the sea in front of him. Fleet Admiral. They dug a big hole under the warship and escaped from the bottom of the ship. No Tianlong people were found. They were probably taken away. Report, it is written on the deck. If he dares to take revenge on Fishman Island, he will publicly execute 2 Tianlong people. A sailor swam into the ship to review the report. What? How dare he? He is so brave. A stinky fish threatens the world government and will not be tolerated. Damn. Search. Search the entire first half of the Grand Route. Trash. You actually let a slave run away. And you also disappeared with 2 celestial dragons. The 5 elders were furious, and the entire room was suddenly enveloped in suffocating oppression and terror. The celestial dragons can die, but they can only die in the hands of fellow celestial dragons, and they cannot publicize it. If the celestial dragons were really publicly executed, what kind of blow would it have to the authority of the celestial dragons? Are the Draconians still a world noble? They will fall to dust from the highest. Chapter 7 Escape. It's easy to lose direction in the sea, but it's not a big problem. As a mermaid, you have the ability to communicate with fish, and you can even let the big fish take you directly towards the calm wind. But the windless zone is equally dangerous, with countless Poseidon species. Of course, Poseidon started 1,000 meters in size, so they generally look down on small Karami like him, as they are simply too small. Ho-ha ho-ha. Adolf dragged a long rope to the shore and gasped, and came out of the barrel one by one. No one spoke, and they were all paralyzed on the beach, gasping for air. Being at the bottom of the sea for so long, I almost suffocated to death. Although I am exhausted and paralyzed, my strength has increased a lot during the escape. Is this me cheat? What is this cheat? Crisis transforming power? Encouraging me to commit suicide? The mud horse is very powerful, but if you make one mistake, you will really die. Adolf lay on the beach and looked at his palms. Desperate to escape, before he is truly out of danger, the sense of crisis always exists, forcing him to squeeze himself. And he could also feel the power that was constantly gushing out, and his muscles were squirming, like steel wires being wound one by one into a steel cable. Bloodline factor. Sengoku, Akainu, bloodline factor? Deep in his body, the answer was told to him. I remember that Sanji's father extracted blood factors from different races and developed clones. After cultivating them, they would have great power and be invulnerable, even if they are hit by firearms. His children are obviously not fruit power users, but they have special abilities such as fire and lightning. They have superhuman bodies at a young age, and guns cannot cause harm. Do I have a blood factor like Sengoku Akainu? Or even their strength? The strength doesn't feel like it is there yet. I need to dig it out by myself, but it improves very quickly, very quickly. Adolf looked at his palms and thought, "Ah, escaped. Lousy is free." A captain stood up and screamed loudly. Free. Free. Tears filled my eyes. Only by losing can we understand the beauty of possession. Even the air was fresh at this moment. Brother Adolf, where are we? Did we really escape? The uninhabited island in the windless zone. Adolf lay on the beach and panted. Windless zone. Then we won't be able to go back? Do you still want to go back? Do you want Marine to arrest you? The slaves of the celestial dragons and the accomplices of the celestial dragons are not as simple as a pirate reward list. That's right, let's avoid the limelight here first. If these 2 heavenly dragons have life cards, the world government might even chase the windless zone. The 5 pirate captains said one after another. Brother Adolf, these 2 Tianlong people are still angry. Why don't you kill them? Wait until I finish asking the question. Adolf said. Then I'll tie them up. Brother Adolf, I will go to the island to find some food. You can take a rest. I'll catch some fish, and I'll live on the island for a while. Be careful in the sea. This is a windless zone. Don't let Poseidon swallow it in one bite. They act independently one by one. As a person who has been wandering at sea for a long time, he knows better about survival than modern people. Adolf looked at the 5 of them quietly, and then looked at the 3 purple-clothed dancers who were restless. No matter how honest and enthusiastic they are now, Before that they were all pirate captains with bounties on their heads. Where are you from? Adolf asked. We are South Blue dancers. We are famous in South Blue. We are considered stars. My name is Aina. They are my partners, Sarah and Haida. We were just sent to the Sabaody Islands for auction, and we haven't been ruined by the celestial dragons yet. Aina, Sarah, and Haida took the initiative. Stars, you can have a dazzling life, but it's a pity that I can't send you back. Only then did Adolf have the intention to take a good look at the three of them. As a dancer and a performing star, her appearance and figure are definitely not bad. She is dressed in thin purple gauze which adds to her charm. Her scarf-like purple gauze tube top wraps up the peak scenery. She was originally wearing a veil, but now the veil has been taken off. I'm very lucky to have escaped. I don't even dare to think about anything else. Aina was grateful. Brother Adolf, you will always stay here, I think, Sarah said as she glanced at the 5 people who were letting themselves go in the distance. The other 2 women also looked at him expectantly. Compared to the 5 pirates, Adolf who rescued them was undoubtedly more trustworthy and even willing to take the initiative. The grace of saving their lives and the feat of killing the celestial dragon truly moved them and made them yearn to be heroes. Are you scared? Adolf also glanced at them and understood their worries. Actually, I don't particularly trust them. Pirates are born and will release their true nature sooner or later on an uninhabited island. It is really inappropriate to put you and them together. You asked the pirates who burned, killed, and looted to become good people, but why didn't you let the organ areas in northern Myanmar rehabilitate themselves? You try to persuade others with all your heart and soul. How do you see how others try to persuade you with all their heart and soul? Even after a long time, the so-called kindness may not be taken seriously. The reason why he brought this group of people with him was simply because he needed them to use the key to unlock his collar at the beginning. They couldn't even be pirates, but the weak young lady to open the collar for him. Later, he had a chance to run away alone. They even told him to let him run away, but he couldn't get over that hurdle in his heart. There may be some reason for this. I'm just not familiar with it. It'll be fine if I get familiar with it later. They don't dare to mess around with Brother Adolf here. The 3 girls were very happy that Adolf understood, and looked at him even more expectantly. Adolf is a mermaid and can go wherever he wants. There is no need to die trapped on this uninhabited island. They are different. The 3 girls are on an uninhabited island with a group of pirates. I'm afraid they will become a self-heating cup sooner or later. I'm afraid the fate will be even worse than that of a celestial dragon slave, because the Tianlong people have other slaves, and there are only 3 of them here. Don't worry, I won't leave you 3 alone. I like you more than the pirates, not to mention you are so beautiful. Adolf smiled. Yeah, we can dance a lot. It's pretty cool. The 3 of them said quickly. Guards? Where are the guards? Damn it, why don't you come to save me? Shalulia Palace woke up from a coma. Do you need a few legs to wake up? Adolf came over expressionlessly. It's you. Don't come over dash. I'm sorry I was wrong, please. I was really wrong. Shalulia Palace's pupils trembled and her body kept shrinking. She had never been so scared since she was born. It turns out that as long as you are tougher, the celestial dragons can admit their mistakes. Adolf lifted her chin. Shalulia Palace gritted her teeth and endured the discomfort, not even daring to say a harsh word, her face full of horror. I have some questions to ask you, and I will ask him later too. If one of you disagrees, you will lose a leg or an arm. That is to say, you have 4 chances, and after 4 times you will only have 1 head left. Don't worry, I won't let you die. I will strip you naked and put you in a vase after losing your limbs, so that everyone can appreciate the superior celestial dragon, the descendant of the creator. What is so different about you? When you are numb, I will smear honey all over your body, and then pour a swarm of ants into the vase. They will eat the honey, along with the flesh and blood, and then burrow into the internal organs along the blood vessels, lay eggs everywhere in the body, and build insect nests. This time will last for a long time, and I will also try my best to maintain your vitality and let you experience the feeling of being alive. Shalulia Palace's face was pale, her scalp was numb, and her pupils were full of fear and horror. She couldn't think of any other word to describe it except devil. Adolf smiled. First question, do you have a life card? No. The celestial dragons don't have that kind of thing. Shalulia Palace responded frantically. Very good. This means that your lives are safe during this period. So the second question, Adolf held her face and looked directly into her eyes. What is the national treasure of the celestial dragons? Shalulia Palace's pupil shrank. This guy. What does he want to do? Chapter 8 Reward List. Waste. They're all waste. Fleet Admiral and the General went out together, but they couldn't even catch a fish. The curly-haired god of scientific defense, Jago Lucius Satan, hit the ground with his crutch and scolded sternly. Such an incident happened just a few days after becoming Fleet Admiral, warring states. If this matter cannot be resolved as soon as possible, your fleet admiral experience time is up. Changhu Environmental Marshal God Marcus Mazsheng said expressionlessly. This should be the problem of the Celestial Dragon Guards, but they let the slaves seize the opportunity. With the Celestial Dragons as hostages, we are constrained in doing anything and can only obey his demands. Warring States gritted his teeth and was unhappy. If it weren't for this reason, would you still be standing here talking? You should go to Impel Down City. The blonde-haired farming god Shepherd Tin Pit said coldly. As Marine Fleet Admiral, we are made to kneel down and hold our heads in front of everyone, but it is a shame. Akainu was angry. They are the most benevolent and righteous people. Marine's reputation is nothing. I heard that he shot and killed Charles Saint before you knelt down, Sakaski. The sword-wielding finance god Izambalin V. Nashuro Saint, his eyes swept away. Akainu gritted his teeth and became even more unhappy. They actually knelt down, just for those two useless celestial dragons. But he was not talking. After all, a Tianlong person really died. Who would have thought that a slave could awaken conquerors? Such a person would dare to be taken as a slave. He is worthy of being a descendant of the Creator. Warring State's expression was cold. Even as a subordinate, his aura was as strong as ever. After all, in addition to his job, he is also a strong man in the sea. What do you want to say? Warring States. Huh. Warring States snorted coldly. All Marines have stopped all missions, and our top priority is to search for Roswader Saint and Shalulia Palace. After we find them, we will send the Knights of God to deal with them, said the curly-haired god of science and defense, Jago Lucius Satan. Everyone knows that as long as Sangua and others are given the authority to ignore the hostages, they can easily solve it. But that's impossible. Marine has been searching the entire Grand Line, but there are no clues. It is very likely that it is on an uninhabited island, or back to the deep-sea Fishman Island. Sengoku said, there is news from our people on Fishman Island that they haven't returned yet. St. Marcus Maz, the Changhu Environmental Marshal God, said, this group of fish is really troublesome. Let's destroy the Fishman Island once it's over, the bald legal war god Topman Wuchuli Saint suggested. Let's talk about it after we solve it. You dare to threaten us with public execution of the celestial dragons. You really don't want to live or die. The sword-wielding financial god of war, Izambalin V. Nasthuro Holy Tao. Publish a reward list and find this guy as soon as possible. The news bird soared in the sky, and when he saw the boat below, he picked up a reward list from his backpack and dropped it. Hey, is it true? What's going on with this bounty? Is this the first time he's been offered a bounty? What's wrong? Hiss. A new guy. What did he do? Destroy the country? How is that possible? It's a mistake. Come and see me, or he is a fishman like you, right? Idiot, he's a mermaid. What's the difference? What are you yelling about? Pineapple Head Marco came over. Marco, come and see. This reward list is too outrageous. It's a whole billion Baileys. What? On the Moby Dick, the boastful and farting crew members all realized that there were too few entertainment activities at sea and everything was strange. Even the Whitebeard sitting in the middle looked curiously. Godkiller Adolf. Bounty you 1 billion belly. The moment he saw the reward list, Marco's eyes almost burst out. What is the concept of 1 billion Baileys at this time? It's a real father. Marco only has 1.374 billion Pele. Hey, what did this guy do? He actually offered a reward of 1 billion Baileys. Marco, did you read it wrong? It's actually 100 million Baileys, not 1 billion Baileys. Idiot, can I still count 10 digits wrong? Marco yelled. 10 digits? He subconsciously raised his fingers. Watching the news bird hovering in the sky, he took out 100 yuan steel bullion. The news bird that had been prepared immediately flew down and took out a newspaper from the backpack. That guy is getting more and more appetizing, and he doesn't even throw it away. Marco complained and opened the newspaper, and the cover exploded even more. Hahahaha, Marine Fleet Admiral, Sengoku, highest combat power Akainu General Sakaski was forced to kneel on the ground and even held his head in his hands? Dad, come and take a look. Marco handed the newspaper to Whitebeard. What? The crew members were stunned, and they all took out their steel clippers and bought all the newspapers brought by Newsbird. Whitebeard was also attracted by the cover. The classic scene of him kneeling on the ground holding his head and enduring humiliation made him laugh out loud. On board. Ha ha ha. Okay, Daddy. I wake up laughing every day when I go to bed. It's so funny. Marine is really embarrassed. If it were me, I might as well commit suicide. Ha ha. Whitebeard continued reading. Adolf was captured by slave traders and auctioned on the Sabaody Islands. After the Draco bought it, he took the Draco as a hostage, killed one celestial dragon, kidnapped two, and forced Sengoku Akainu to kneel down and hold his head. No wonder he offered a reward of 1 billion. It was really big news that shocked the world. Whitebeard took 2 sips of wine. It was so good. This guy is too handsome, Namware. You go and invite him to join our pirate group? The crew members cheered one after another. It's not that simple. Namir looked at the newspaper and worried whether Fishman Island would be retaliated against. Don't worry, there is Daddy's flag on Fishman Island. Seeing his companion's concern, he couldn't help but pat his shoulder to comfort him. Idiot, he still has 2 celestial dragons in his hands now. Wouldn't he recruit them so that the world government can completely encircle and suppress them? Marco cursed. He was too tired from being a nanny every day. What does that matter? We are the Whitebeard pirates. Gululala, you're right, there's a party, sons. Let's drink to Marine. Hahahaha, cheers. All the pirates raised their glasses high and laughed wildly. They even clinked their glasses to the newspaper cover, as if they were clinking glasses to the kneeling Sengoku Akainu from afar. It made them laugh even more unscrupulously, with snot bubbles popping out of their noses. Marshal D. Teach was leaning on the deck, reading the newspaper in his hand, eating cherry pie, and laughing with his companions. Mom, the whole world is watching Marine's joke now. The most uncomfortable thing is the world government. It doesn't matter if the celestial dragons were killed, but 2 were kidnapped. I can't save my face. That's what they brought upon themselves. Mama, put this cover on the island and let's hold a tea party. It's Mom. It's been so many years since a guy had the audacity to kill a celestial dragon. He even made Sengoku kneel down. It was really fun. Little ones, celebrate the celebration. Kaido smiled from ear to ear and beat his thigh, tears streaming down his face. Boss, let's print more covers and throw them at the Marine base. When we see Marine warships in the future, we'll hit them with cannons. It feels so good to think about it. Hahaha, let's do it. This guy is great. The whole world is holding banquets for him. Soul dancer Plague Quinn even squirmed and danced with his flexible fat body, and the club activities were full. Adolf. Yin Calamity Jin looked at the reward list and felt happy. He had been tortured by the world government in the past. Even the Lunaria clan was exterminated by the world government, and they became an endangered species. Even the idiot mammoth Jack looked at the reward list and felt a strange emotion in his heart. Mermaid? Boss, something big happened. Someone actually dared to kill the celestial dragon. It's over. This sea is going to be in chaos. It's useless. Marine and world government will find him sooner or later. They just took the opportunity to kidnap the celestial dragons and escape. What do you want to do by kidnapping the celestial dragons? Times will go crazy. Red-haired Shanks looked at the newspaper with a heavy expression. Vice Captain Ben Beckman looked at the expression on the boss Shanks' face and couldn't help but squint slightly as he looked at the newspaper. The whole sea was stirred up by this newspaper. The pirate just saw the newspaper cover and started laughing. On the contrary, the noble kings were frightened, and even the world noble was killed. He was even more dissatisfied with Marine's incompetence. The majestic fleet admiral actually knelt down to a slave. Countless civilians were uneasy, and some people even grabbed a ship and went to sea because of Marine's humiliation without caring about Marine in the town. To a certain extent, this is as big an event as the war at the top. After all, Whitebeard is just a pirate, and when he dies, he will be replaced by other pirates. But Marine is spread all over the world and the Grand Line, and the world government controls the entire world. Their influence is truly global. Killing the celestial dragons and making the Marine Fleet Admiral kneel down. What a blow to the prestige of Marine and world government. This will directly promote the era of violence. This moment has also been recorded by historians as a major historical turning point, the awakening of the Great Will, and a moment of liberation. Chapter 9, Throne of Heaven. Yuan. Fleet Admiral. Something big happened. Sailor came in. What's wrong? Are those 2 Tianlong people dead? Warring States frowned, but he still had a little expectation. No. Look at this. He opened the newspaper tremblingly and handed it to Sengoku, Fleet Admiral. The first scene on the cover gave the Warring States period a critical blow, with eyes split open and anger rushing straight to the forehead. That old bird from Morgan's. He actually dared to publish the photos he took in newspapers. Sangwa slammed the bowl onto the table, and even Conquerors was furious. There were black and red lightning bolts, and the whole room was extremely depressing. At that time, it was already very embarrassing to hold back the shame and anger and kneel down. Now it is even more embarrassing to the whole world. I really want to find a crack in the ground and crawl into it, and never come out again in my life. Who is he? Marine Fleet Admiral, Buddha's Warring States period. There are 3 things that make a new official angry when he takes office, and the first thing that makes him lose his reputation. Even he, who is so smart and mentally retarded, can't bear it even a little bit. Akainu can't bear it even more. What kind of king of the underworld? Go find him. I will skewer the old bird and grill him. Akainu chewed the cigar into pieces, Veins popped up on his forehead, and his face was ferocious. After saying that, closed the door heavily. A scorching firelight shone from the crack in the door, accompanied by the faint sound of banging and breaking. Those who listened felt their scalp numb and ran away quickly. If you speak louder, you might die on the spot in a volcanic eruption. Except for Adolph's bounty list, the other 8 people had bounties on them, and several pirates who had a bounty of between 30 and 50 million were even increased to 100 million belly. Derek, who caught the celestial dragon and had Adolph cut off one of his legs, even received a bounty of 300 million belly. Even the 3 dancers were offered a reward of 10 million belly. Their bounty has nothing to do with their strength, it's entirely because of their involvement in this matter. And the wrath of Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku, Admiral Akainu, it just seemed insignificant with Adolph's back. And on an uninhabited island in the windless zone. The outside world has set off huge waves, but there is no news here. News birds rarely enter the calm zone. Brother Adolph, drink coconut juice. In front of the bonfire, the dancer Aina cracked open the coconut and handed it over. Yes, thank you. Adolph nodded. Brother Adolph, I have already walked around the island. There are large forests everywhere, many animals, and a freshwater lake. Long-term survival is no problem. Derek Hui reported. Brother Adolph, I just discovered when I was fishing that the fish in the sea are very abundant and very huge. Even if a few of us catch one, we won't be able to eat it all in a month. Great. Doesn't this mean you don't have to worry about eating and drinking? It's a pity that there is no wine. Otherwise, we can have a good celebration. Although it can't be compared with the free and easy life before, I'm thankful to be alive. Don't expect so much. A piece of good news made them happy, laughing and crying. Even if you laugh when you are a slave, you need permission from the celestial dragon. How depressing and despairing that is. Oh, are you satisfied with this? That's not bad. Forget the pain and live a good life here. Adolph looked at the bonfire and said inexplicably, Huh? Brother Adolph, do you want to leave? Everyone looked at him. This world is so big. Why am I stuck here? Because of the celestial dragons? Because of the world government? Because of Marine? Who are they? Adolph raised his head, and the bonfire reflected in his eyes was burning, just like his ambition and anger. I want to replace the world government and establish a new system. Pull those lofty celestial dragons down from the sky. As he spoke, even conquerors spread unconsciously, and the invisible pressure enveloped people, making people suffocating. This is the world of pirates. Nami, Robin, Shirahoshi, Hancock. There are so many beautiful women. Some of them can even be as unified as the ancient emperors. Achieve his grand ambition. How could he back down just because of a group of NPCs? Derek and the others' hearts trembled. Although this unconscious aura would not cause them to faint directly, it was still oppressive to their spirits. Brother Adolph, but world government. Derek insisted. I know they are very powerful, extremely huge. But no one has stood in heaven from the beginning. Not you, not me, not even God. The throne of that day will come to an end. One day, I will stand at the top. If you are poor, you will lay your corpse in ruins. If you are rich, you will raise your body with its coffin uncovered. Zhu Yuanzhang can establish the Ming dynasty with just one bowl at the beginning. If he has cheat and has no ambition, just go home and farm. No, don't even plant the land, just lie in the coffin. Brother Adolph, Aina, Setsuna, and Haida looked at him in shock. It was so crazy. Brother Adolph, please take us with you. Don't look at me like this. I used to be a pirate with a bounty of 30 million. Grant, who is 7 meters tall, bulged his biceps to show his strength. Count me in too. Those who dare to enslave me will be killed by me. Brother Adolph saved my life, and it will belong to him from now on. Everyone's blood was boiling. They didn't think about whether they could succeed. They just wanted to tear off a piece of flesh from their bodies for revenge. Facts have proved that no matter how outrageous or ignorant you are, if you show off your personality and move forward bravely, there will always be people who are fascinated by you. You? Adolph's eyes swept over him with suspicion and scrutiny. I want to build an empire, a unified country where everyone must abide by the system, not a low-level pirate group that burns, kills, and loots. Can you control yourselves? Derek grinned instead. Brother Adolph, you are not a pirate, but you don't know that the first rule on a pirate ship is, the captain's orders are absolute. Those who disobey the captain's orders can quit, but those who disobey will only die. That's right. Even though we are pirates, we know better how pirates survive. Brother Adolph, don't worry, we will definitely listen to you. None of them flinched at all, but became even more enthusiastic. Are you serious? Shalulia Palace couldn't help but say. Do you really understand what world government means? Not to mention world government, even if it's a subordinate organization, Marine, you can't fight against it. If you want to use us as hostages, you are making a big mistake. The two of them are a little sarcastic, A group of guys who don't know the heights of heaven and earth. A few slaves get together and want to shake the world? I'm not happy with the way you look at the desert bumpkins. What do you mean by a failed art student? It's time to give the world a little shock. Chapter 10 Bloodline Factor. In modern times, deep sea phobia is a psychological fear. It is just the feeling that there is a huge monster under the sea that makes people feel numb. It is an assumption about the unknown. But there are so many things in this world, and they are everywhere. For example, this indescribable giant sea centipede is over 500 meters long. The modern offshore sea is only 200 to 300 meters deep, and this is 500 meters long. From the bottom of the sea to the surface of the water, there is still a height of 200 meters. Who doesn't feel numb when looking at it? The aircraft carrier can be entangled several times, especially densely packed with hundreds of pairs of feet. It makes one shudder. His whole body is no bigger than 1 foot. Ho ho! The pirate world is full of monsters of this size. You have to get used to it. Don't just stick a shovel between your teeth and it will be funny. Adolf took a deep breath. He didn't come to deliver the food without any skills. In order to confirm his own strength, he let 5 people from Derek besiege them together, but they were easily defeated by him, just as easily as the minions. After all, they are also 30 to 50 million pirates, and the bounty of this era is quite valuable. This side proves that his own strength is at least the same as when Luffy bravely entered the world government, and he usually broke the spring fruit with 1 punch. No, it should be about the same as when he arrived at the Sabaody Islands. It also convinced Derek and others. This boss is awesome. Schwa. Keeping an eye on the target, the sky blue fish tail swings like an arrow flying. In the water, mermaids are the fastest swimming race, bar none. Mermaid karate, Kinwa Shokin. Boom. The giant sea centipede ignored the approach of the small fish and shrimp. Adolf punched the thick armor without any politeness. It was so powerful that it could break even rocks with 1 blow. There was a dull and loud sound, and the sea water surged like a strong wind. The sea surface exploded with spray, and the giant sea centipede was also blown away dozens of meters under the blow. However, the giant sea centipede is 500 meters in size and only bends its waist when it is tens of meters tall, and does not actually move. Instead, it made the giant sea centipede pay attention. It's of no use at all. Adolf said hard. Hiss. The hoarse roar, the huge voice exploded like a supersonic wave, and the sea water shook with the sound waves, and the sea surface even set off a series of small waves 7 or 8 meters high. Brother, what level of Poseidon are you provoking? It's too exaggerated. On the small island, Derek and others were also feeling numb. Schwa. The mouth parts opened, and he suddenly pounced and bit. Adolf quickly swam to dodge, swam around the giant sea centipede, and landed several punches in succession, twisting each section of the giant sea centipede's hammer. However, he is like a fly or a mosquito, not harmful but extremely insulting. Completely enrages the giant sea centipede. Roar! The monsters rioted, strangling like chains, seeming to block the hiding space, and densely packed long legs stabbed at the same time. Adolf immediately ran away and escaped in front of the blockade. The giant sea centipede chased up, overwhelming the sea, and the 500-meter-long giant rolled over. Is it really a rough wave? Looking back at the powerful giant sea centipede behind me, being chased by this monster makes my adrenaline soar. Not only does the speed increase to the extreme, the cerebellum is also working rapidly. My current physical fitness is very strong and I can abuse vegetables, but I lack experience in fighting the enemy and the means of killing. Mermaid karate is the only thing my predecessor has ever learned, and he's still very bad at it. Remember, the essence is to knock out the surrounding water in the form of impact and wave, just like the flow of water particles. Because of the impact of water molecules, this attack has extremely strong penetrating power. As the saying goes, only by being infinitely close to death can we understand the true meaning of life. He realized. He suddenly turned around and clenched his right hand into a fist. The water flow seemed to be entangled in a thick state, and his body was still retreating under the speed of inertia. Mermaid karate, Shuei fist. Boom. When the giant sea centipede caught up to less than 100 meters, its eyes flashed fiercely and blasted out from the air. The sea water roared like a laser cannon, and the sea was surging. Use your face to catch the big one, and the blow falls completely on the face, and the whole head explodes. It is not because it is hindered by the seawater in the sea, but because the seawater exerts its maximum power. He is a mermaid and was born to be the darling of the sea. How could the seawater be an obstacle? Call. It's okay. It was used successfully. It seems that I still have the same talent as Sengoku Akainu and their monsters. We can find a way to get the blood factor of Charlotte Linlin, the monster who defeated a group of giants at the age of 5. She keeps giving birth to children and can be in the 4 emperors. She is one of the stronger ones. Adolf gasped and gradually calmed down. He was also working hard at that moment. It shouldn't be obtained through contact, but does it require pressure? When I was facing off against Sengoku Akainu and the others, I was enveloped in tremendous pressure, and it was in that state that power kept pouring out from deep within my body. Pressure activates the blood factors, and the external environment forces me to adapt. It was also at that time that I felt like I was completely reborn. Fighting and war are the fastest ways to grow, forcing people to break through their limits. But if you can't break through, you will die. Boss, Brother Adolf, Derek and Aina all came running over. Find an animal and try to see if it is poisonous. One this big can be eaten for a while, and the shell can be polished into tools. Adolf dragged the giant sea centipede ashore. Although centipedes don't sound like serious food, they are so big that they don't have trypophobia, and they taste silent. Besides, he also hit his head. You can eat such a big Poseidon for a year. Derek was excited. It's so powerful, boss. Such a big Poseidon can easily overwhelm a warship. It will break if you hit it casually. Others were extremely excited when they looked at the giant sea centipede. In the sea, Poseidon species can be regarded as the biggest terror besides climate disasters. Come here, I have something to say. I'm going to go to sea later to learn domineering skills, so you can stay on the island to practice your strength and squeeze yourself as hard as you can. We will gain freedom from slavery together. In the future, we will not only get out of this uninhabited island, but also stir up the entire world. I don't want anyone to fall too far behind and not even be able to see my back in the end. Adolf looked at them with ambition and passion. It's big brother. All of them were full of passion. Aina, Shala, and Haida, you give food to those 2 celestial dragons every day. Don't starve to death, and don't beat or torture them. I'm of great use. I know your hatred for the celestial dragons, but I also want you to know that you are not pirates now. If you can't control yourself and obey me, then I can only do what you said and get rid of you. Adolf was still very worried about the 5 of them. After all, it was normal for pirates to burn, kill, and loot, and to go back on their word and be reckless about the consequences. Don't worry, boss. If any of them dare to mess around, I will destroy them. Derek glanced around. As the man who is not completely unconscious in Conqueror's Hedge, his strength is the strongest among several people. Adolf nodded. The cake should be enough for them to eat for a while. Chapter 11 Empress Hancock. Brother, where is the daughter country? I don't know. Is there anyone on that island in the windless zone? Or the ship that appeared in the windless zone stopped on that island? Over there? Since you know the way, take me for a ride. Fish. The mermaids can communicate with fishes. For them, fishes are as obedient as pets, and naturally they will not eat fishes. Of course, it is limited to ordinary fish, shellfish, shrimps, crabs, etc. are not included, as well as monster-like deep-sea fish monsters, or sea monsters, Poseidon types, etc. That can't even be called a fish. It can only be said to be a creature that lives in the sea like a fish. It's too exaggerated. As long as you provide relevant clues, you can get 100 million belly. Help Marine find Roswaiter Saint and Shalulia Palace. You can get 1 billion belly immediately. You can also get a promise from the world noble Draco and be exempted from everything in the past. Offense? Boss, if we find the 2 kidnapped celestial dragons, wouldn't we be able to achieve success in one step? Can the promise of the celestial dragons make us the legitimate kings? King? Doesn't it mean that the entire kingdom's treasure belongs to us? All the women are at our disposal? It feels so good to think about it. Hahahaha, I will be the first to enjoy the first night of whoever gets married, and I will have to do it in front of that man. Then I will gather all the Lolita and watch them learn. You perverts, if you think this is better, you might as well get rid of the cargo of the robbed merchant ship, and then go to Happy Street to enjoy it. Look at this reward list. The female draconian Adolf is holding is really good. Isn't it already broken by now? Is that what a mermaid can do? If you find a celestial dragon, it would be a good idea to try the celestial dragon flavor. They are all pirates anyway. Let's just rob the world government's ship. If we catch the celestial dragons, we will become famous. The Black Skull Pirates, a group of people gathered around the newspaper and went crazy with excitement. As a pirate, I completely let myself go and expressed the dream of countless gentlemen. The Tianlong people were shot and kidnapped, which shattered the myth that world government was unattainable. Even thinking about the kidnapped female Draco, whose fate is known to all men, it is like pressing the face of the world government to the ground and grinding it. What else is there to say about being noble? Oh no, Captain. There is a pirate ship approaching at 3 o'clock on the right at a very fast speed. It's the Queen of the Nine Snakes Pirates, Hancock. The lookout shouted in panic. Empress Shichibukai. She's just a lackey of the world government. Even the Tianlong people were captured to make daily necessities. Shichibukai is nothing. Laozi is also a big pirate with a bounty of 50 million. Young men, prepare to fight. Oh, dash. Black Skull drew his sword and shouted, The most disgusting thing about pirates is marine and world government. There are actually pirates as their lackeys. The supreme world noble has been reduced to a hot weapon. The Marine Fleet Admiral kneeled down and held his head. Who cares about world government? Prestige? Stomping on the ground. Ah, women. They are all women. The rumors are true. The Nine Snakes pirates are all women. Everyone in the Black Skull pirates was so excited that they were all excited and restless. Lousy wants to be the first to board. Don't squeeze me, you bastard. I want to be the first to pick. You rubbish guys. I'm definitely the captain. I'm the first one. Please line up behind me. One by one. They wished they could catch the beautiful concubine blindfolded and pounce on her. Ah, what a bunch of stupid men. The green-haired Sandersonia, who was more than 5 meters tall, leaned on the edge of the boat with one hand and looked at them. You will die if you look down on our Kuja pirates. Marigold, an orange-haired man who was the same height but fatter, was unhappy. Tap, tap, tap. The crisp sound of footsteps is pleasant to the ear, and as soon as you hear it, the image of a delicate beauty emerges in your mind. Ah, so beautiful. Hancock, Hancock, Hancock. The moment they saw Hancock, the hearts of all the Black Skull pirates burst out. The pirates who were shouting and killing suddenly turned into a support group. How could such a beautiful person be treated so rudely? It is a kind of beauty beyond appearance, as charming as murderous and ghostly. It is simply irresistible to men, and even more difficult for pirates who don't know how to restrain themselves. I want the supplies on your ship. Can you help me move them out? Hancock looked so pitiful, and the white moonlight instantly hid his eyebrows. What nonsense are you talking about? How could I give it to you? Captain Black Skull cursed the idiot. What's wrong with this? I'll give it all to you. However, all his crew members turned into licking dogs and took the initiative to move all the supplies out of the ship. Their eyes turned into pink hearts, full of passion and motivation. Giving everything for the goddess is sweet just thinking about it. What? Have you idiots never seen a woman? I've never seen you so active when you're working hard. The captain turned around and realized that all this had cost him his family's money. It's just a life. How can it be compared with Hancock? That's right. We just robbed a merchant ship and brought it to you. Someone even took the initiative to introduce the merchant ship being towed behind. Hancock jumped for joy like a little girl. Thank you. Ah! This sentence struck a critical chord in the hearts of all pure love war gods. It's worth going through fire and water at this moment. You bastards, aren't you going to Happy Street? The captain roared. With such a beauty, why go to Happy Street? Captain, you are so vulgar. I don't know if it's the devil fruit's ability or pure beauty and charm, but it's really a dimension-reducing blow to men, and can even kill both men and women. Damn it. Captain Black Skull gritted his teeth and looked at Hancock fiercely. Extremely stupid. Hancock indifferently ignored the leaping black skeleton captain. Not to mention the pitiful little bird. He was as arrogant as the aloof empress. Captive's arrow. The slender jade fingers touched her lips lightly, and a pink love heart opened like a bow and arrows, and a large number of arrows flew. The captain who bore the brunt of the attack swung his sword to block it, and the steel sword was instantly petrified upon contact. He was then shot through by subsequent bows and arrows, and both were instantly petrified. The rest of the pirates did not expect that their beloved Hancock would hurt them. Even knowing that they were unwilling to avoid it, they all turned to stone with just one move. Some men are so stupid that they don't even know how to hide. The green-haired Sundarsonia was used to it. Some people threw the pirates on the boat into the sea, while the others moved the supplies onto the boat and robbed the fastest ones. There was no other way, so everyone took the initiative to move out the supplies. Newspaper? Granny New wants it. Fanhua took it with her. Sister, there is a pirate ship plus merchant ship cargo, and our ship is almost full. The orange-haired Marigold reported. Then go back. Yes, Lord Snake Princess. This, Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku and Admiral Akainu actually knelt down to a mermaid? Shanhua lost her voice, and her words were mixed with an unbearable smile. Marine Fleet Admiral? Admiral? Kneel down? Even if they were not interested in the newspaper, they couldn't help but read it at this moment. It's warring states. I really knelt down to the mermaid. The green-haired Sunda Sonia saw the cover of the newspaper, and it was precisely because of the popularity of the cover that she attracted them at first sight. Wait, this is the Celestial Dragon. The pupils shrank, and they suddenly noticed that the hostage Adolf had taken was a Draco costume that they would never forget. Dragon! Hancock was sitting in the snake seat. His whole body was stunned, and his mind was blank. Sister, he took the Celestial Dragon's hostage, and even killed a Celestial Dragon. The head was shot, and there was a lot of blood on the ground. Dead. This Tianlong must be dead. The green-haired Sandersonia was frightened, and her voice was shaking. Chapter 12 Hancock confesses. Hancock took the newspaper with trembling hands, and his pupils contracted when he saw the cover. She didn't care about the humiliation of Sengoku Akainu kneeling down and holding his head. Her attention was completely focused on the side. Adolf was holding the Draco Carulia Palace's neck with one hand. Lying on the ground was the Draconian Saint Roswald, who was knocked unconscious by conquerors, and the Draconian Saint Charlos, who was shot in the head and was bleeding all over the ground. It's a celestial dragon. It's really a celestial dragon. The pupils trembled, and the whole person was in shock, with excitement, trepidation, panic, and joy. No matter what, they can never forget the appearance of the celestial dragons, their clothes, and their ugly faces. Lord Snake Lady? Everyone looked at Hancock in confusion, not understanding why this was happening. You all get out. Orange-haired Marigold shouted. Gentian, Cosmos, Paper Fanflower, and others exited the hall without knowing why. Sister. The two sisters Marigold and Sandersonia looked at Hancock. Hancock suppressed his emotions and read the entire newspaper, gaining a general understanding of the ins and outs. Sister, there is a bounty here for the Godslayer Adolf, and the bounty is 1 billion belly. The green-haired Sandersonia handed the newspaper to Hancock. Godslayer Adolf, Marigold, Sandersonia, Mermaid Island are truly our benefactors. Hancock looked at Adolf's photo on the reward list in his hand. Huh? In the windless zone, using 2 sea snakes to pull the boat? Is this the real owner? Adolf looked up at the large pirate ship above. The 2 sea snakes were so distinctive. Boom! It rushed out of the sea and landed on the deck. Fortunately, the sea snake did not attack. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome. Who? Before he could even stop, everyone on the deck reacted instantly and surrounded him. I'm Adolf. I mean no harm. Adolf simply raised his hands to avoid misunderstanding. He didn't want to cause a commotion by fighting to prove himself. And then when he saw Hancock, he would explain that he had killed the celestial dragons and pretend to solve the problem. Originally, it was his fault. You entered someone else's house without saying a word, and then the owner asked you who you were. Is it polite to give the owner a good beating? The Godslayer Adolf has a bounty of 1 billion Baileys. One by one, they were stunned. They just saw it in the newspaper, and now they saw it in person? Huh? Do you know me? Adolf was stunned. This was only the second day. Is the news in the pirate world transmitted so quickly? Even the 9 Snakes pirates, who have closed the news, know about it? I just met you from the newspaper, Merman. Did you really force Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku and Admiral Akainu to kneel down? And killed the celestial dragon? The newspaper said that you also captured 2 Tianlong people. Where are they hiding? Your bounty is 1 billion Baileys, which is 10, more than 10 times higher than Lady Snake. This is the first time I've seen a mermaid. The lower body is a fish. It's so magical. Can I touch it? Wow, it's so big. Everyone came around with great interest and asked about various topics. He even couldn't help but touch it with his hands. Is the newspaper so fast? It's only the second day. I'm offering a reward of 1 billion? Adolf was a little impressed by the newsbird. It was really awesome and it spread in such a short time. It's a pity that he was on an uninhabited island in the Windless Belt. Newsbird didn't go to the Windless Belt at all, let alone an uninhabited island, so naturally he didn't receive the newspaper. Well, I have something I want to see you, Lady Snake. Could you please convey it to me? Adolf spoke with confidence. Although he killed the celestial dragons to poke Hancock's itch, but if you brag about it and others know that his character is different, it just makes him look like a villain. Originally, he wanted to unintentionally let Hancock know what great achievements he had done by drawing a cake. It's better to save yourself the trouble now. Come with me. Lord Shiji will let you in. Paper Fanflower came over and said, Trouble. Adolf nodded. After he entered, the door closed again. Adolf looked around and saw that the cabin was just like an ancient palace, and this ship was also a large ship over 100 meters long, with quite a huge space. After walking through the dozens of meters long red carpet, I saw Hancock sitting on a high platform. Marigold and Sundarsonia were 5 meters tall and stood on the left and right like the guards. They all looked down at him. Their hearts were complicated and they didn't know what they were thinking. You want to see me? What's the matter? Hancock spoke, although his voice was cold, but it was just a disguise. If it was really cold, she would not see him at all. I want to learn hockey. Armed color, knowledge color, conquerors 3-color hockey. I just heard that you also know about me. In order to avoid marine and world government, I can only hide in the windless zone. I can't even return to Fishman Island. I need to quickly improve my strength, not only to swim freely in the sea, but also to drag the celestial dragons down from the altar. Adolf directly stated his purpose without concealing it, and in the end he even pointed out the celestial dragon. Sure enough, these 3 words directly caused Hancock's pupils to shrink, and both Marigold and Sandersonia trembled. What are you talking about? You want to bring the Tianlong people? Marigold and Sandersonia were a little exhausted and looked at him in horror. I'm talking. Kill all the Tianlong people. His eyes were firm, without any evasion. The three of them breathed quickly and their brains stopped functioning after just one sentence. No one has ever had such a bold idea. Hancock was shocked and extremely complicated. Yes, there are many who want to kill the celestial dragons, but they can't. After seeing clearly the gap between themselves and the world government, they eventually turn into resentment in their hearts, and they can only swallow their unwillingness. Adolph's eyes seemed to see the resentment accumulated by the world government, the resentful souls of countless people. I promised to teach you domineering, but conquerors. Hancock frowned and thought, how to help people awaken conquerors? I have awakened conquerors' domineering power, so don't worry about it. In addition, I hope that the outside world will not know about it for the time being. This will be detrimental to the Amazon daughter country. I don't want my appearance to cause harm to you, even the people around you. I am a mermaid, the darling of the sea. When I grow up, they will lose the right to sail the sea. This is also one of my capitals for calling for the overthrow of the world government. Adolph said directly. Hancock nodded. In this sea, no one can ignore the power of the sea. Only by being in awe can one sail on the sea. However, what spoke to her heart was this sentence. I don't want to cause harm to you because of my appearance, even if the people around you. Are you returning now? I'll get off the ship first, and then go to the nearby uninhabited island. Adolph took the initiative. You don't have to worry about being exposed. Amazon's daughter, the AI family, has the final say. No one will notify the marine world government. Hancock responded domineeringly. Thanks. Adolph was moved. He was extremely dangerous now, and being willing to accept him would mean accepting the danger. Even Shichibukai's identity cannot be protected. Speaking of which, we are just like you, Hancock said, taking off his Cheongsam in front of Adolph. Chapter 13. Be the only light in your heart. Hancock confessed that he was really white, without a trace of stray hair. He turned around and endured the pain in his heart, struggling to lift his long hair. Heavenly dragon's hoof. The slaves raised by world noble can never erase the proof of lower human beings. Adolph looked at the seal behind Hancock. Every word he said made Hancock tremble, and he gritted his teeth to endure the torture. The two sisters held their heads in pain. It was a painful and heart-wrenching past. Every time I think about it, it is extremely tortured and inner torture. I haven't seen this, and I don't have much contact with the Sun Pirates, but it's the same. Although the hero Fisher Tiger freed you from Mariajoya, you should have been free, but you were not. What tortures you is not this mark, but that memory, the seal imprinted on your thoughts. Celestial dragons, world government, are like a haze that cannot be dissipated, shrouding your hearts. As long as the celestial dragons still exist, as long as the world government still exists, you will never be reborn. His words were like sharp blades, cutting into the hearts of the three Hancock sisters. Their hearts were bleeding and they were in pain. You can even vaguely see a black cloud shrouding you, and you can't escape no matter where you go. This is a mark that can never be erased. Remember what I just said, Hancock. Give me a little time, and I will break through the darkness. If there is still no sun, I will become the only light in your heart's dash. You. Hancock suddenly raised his head and looked at him in disbelief. She even felt relieved at this moment. It's like lighting a tiny candle in the darkness. Even if it can't light up the whole world, it can illuminate the front for her, hold up a small patch of light and a trace of warmth. Adolph. Adolph. Marigold and Sandersonia looked at him with the same heartbeat, a new life of being saved and redeemed. Are you really? Hancock took 2 steps forward. Don't look at my current strength as if I'm talking big, but I'm actually quite confident. Adolph grinned confidently. As a cheater, he would have no confidence at all if he clicked on this. Stop playing and hang up. He came forward to Hancock and put the spacious Cheongsam she took off on her body. Idiot, don't take off your clothes casually in front of others. You also know how beautiful you are. Who can stand this test? A decent person can't help but become a bad person. Hancock turned his head slightly and said in embarrassment, I know. The more kind and warm I feel, the more torture I feel. I struggle and worry in my heart. Will you look down on me who was once a slave? How could it be? I was caught before. If I hadn't tried so hard, I would have almost been branded with this thing. We are the same. Adolph comforted him gently. Speaking of which, I still have 2 Tianlong people in my hands. If you kill them with your own hands, will you gain inner freedom? Hancock's pupils shrank. Marigold and Sandersonia also trembled in shock. Kill the celestial dragon with your own hands. I can let you kill one, and the other one will be useful. Just the lame old guy. I chopped off one of his legs. There is no medicine to treat him on the uninhabited island. I don't know how long he can survive. Cut off a leg. The 3 women's jaws dropped in shock. This is the same as mincing pork, but this is a leg of a celestial dragon. Actually, they are no different from ordinary people. They were arrogant at first. They thought they were world noble, and no one dared to do anything to them. After I killed one of them, they became more honest. Adolf is gentle and calm, wildly poking Hancock's energy spot. Sister. Marigold and Sandersonia looked at Hancock. This proposal is so exciting. How much they want to seek revenge from the celestial dragons. They wish they could tear them into pieces. Since you are still useful, Adolf, just keep it. Didn't you say you want to be our light? Hancock grabbed the clothes and was as sweet as a girl, saying, be the only light in their hearts. Sweet. So sweet. Ha, don't be like that. What you just said was a bit arrogant. No wonder you were embarrassed. Adolf was embarrassed. It sounds like a movie when you say it, and it feels weird when you repeat it. So do you have a newspaper? You have been in the windless zone since you escaped, and you don't know what the world government is doing. Adolf asked. Here's the reward list for you and your companions. Hancock handed the report over in person. Huh? The God Killer has a bounty of 1 billion belly. Others have hundreds of millions of belly as well. This title is not bad, but one day the name of God Killer will become God Killer and Godslaughter. A reward of 1 billion is a bit exaggerated. At this point in time, 1 billion is equivalent to the level of 3 disasters and 3 generals. But with his personal strength, it is obvious that he has not reached this level, and he has not even mastered domineering yet. It seems that there is indeed no such thing as a life card, and there are no clues to find me, at least not in a short time. Otherwise, it would be better to just send experts to deal with it secretly, and it will not damage the supreme authority of the Tianlong people. The photos are so good. Sengoku Akainu wants to eat me alive. Such photos can be published in newspapers. I'm afraid it's not the work of an experienced bird. Being famous is good, but it's not good if you don't live up to your name. There are no high-end bounty hunters, but there must be people who want to step on my head and become famous. As for those who are unhappy with World Government Marine, they are very happy to see this newspaper and have a lot of favorable impressions of me. There is a word called, see the essence through things. Adolf saw a lot of things from the newspapers and the meaning behind them, and he had a rough judgment about his current environment. He doesn't know how good his political acumen is, but China's unique worldly sophistication, wine table culture, especially history and Sun Tzu's Art of War and other works, are destined to be much higher than this world. Chapter 14, Don't Let Desire Defeat Your Will. The daughter country of the Amazon is located in the windless zone, and the entire island and the country are all female. However, although they are all female, they are also a genuine fighting nation that worships the strong, advocates strength, and regards strength as beauty. Not only that, even ordinary people can master the two-color hegemony, and they are truly a fighting nation where all the people are soldiers. This shows how popular they are about hockey and how deeply they understand hockey. Only by understanding domineering to an extremely deep level can the threshold be lowered. Only with such a thorough understanding can ordinary people with less physical strength master it. Instead of being blindfolded and beaten with a stick like Rayleigh, and then roughly thrown in front of the beast, a proper mediocre person. Not only that, there is also a crew member on the rock ship in the Amazon daughter country, Granny Croliosa. As the former overlord of the sea, Kaido was just an intern. Even if Grandma Yi is not a monster like Whitebeard, Golden Lion, or Charlotte Linlin, the fact that she can appear in one scene shows that her strength is by no means simple. Wait, is the crew member on the rock ship the mother-in-law, or the one from the Sabaody Islands? Forget it, no matter how he thinks about it, Nine Snake Island is the best choice. What's more, there is a beauty who is given away for free, and a daughter's country is given away for free. There are 2 paradises in this world. One is Fishman Island, and the other is the daughter country. Gate of opening. Lord Snake Lady is back. Welcome back to the 9 Snakes Pirates. Great harvest, wow hahaha. The 9 Snakes Pirates slowly entered the city and were greeted by many people. Flowers were scattered, showing their support. Led by Hancock, everyone in the 9 Snakes Pirates disembarked. Lord Snake Princess, Marigold, Lady Sandersonia. Each and every one of them chanted the name of their idol, and the 9 Snakes Pirates were like warriors who opened up new territories for them, a way for them to obtain supplies from the outside world with powerful force. Iron, gunpowder, medicine, wine, cloth, vegetables and crops, etc. The Amazon island has fish, Poseidon, etc. as food. There is no shortage of food, but many other things cannot be supplemented and are necessary. Look, that person next to Lady Snake? He actually has a tail. It's so strange. Could it be that he is a creature from the sea? Don't you think his sky blue tail is beautiful? That slender arc and powerful chest muscles. Ah, you feel the same way. Lord Salome is holding him, side by side with Lord Snake Lady. He must be Lord Snake Lady's distinguished guest. Looking at Adolf, countless people couldn't help but discuss it. Adolf stood on Salome and was dragged along the road. The tail on the lower body of the mermaid can stand on the tail fin on land, but it is really troublesome and not so neat. It can be said that on land, the The mermaid's combat power will be significantly reduced. Looking at the people on both sides, he observed, he is very loved and admired by everyone. He has great cohesion and centripetal force. That's because I'm so beautiful. Hancock held his face in his hands and bumped around. Does this have anything to do with beauty? Looking sideways at Hancock, in terms of beauty and charm, Hancock is indeed so beautiful that it feels like a foul. If it's just about appearance, everyone has different preferences. Some like fair and thin, some like fenguli, some like coquettish, some only like pure, and some even like little Lolita. But Hancock is the kind of man who kills both men and women. Even women can't stand up to a coquetry, even a plastic bag can't do it. Only non-human beings who are not interested in women at all, or do not know what sex is, will not be affected. What's wrong? Is there something on my face? Hancock noticed Adolph's gaze and couldn't help but ask. Both powerful and beautiful. I'm afraid there is no woman better than you in this world. Adolph praised without hesitation. If anything, that's the future Shirahoshi, with an unimaginable gap in his chest to fill. No way. Hancock held his face shyly, not daring to face it. Adolph smiled. It just so happened that he didn't know how to pick up girls, so it was nice to get it for free. Why did Shiji bring back a male mermaid? Grandma Yi appeared in front of her, confused. The AI family does not need your intervention. Hancock's shabby face suddenly turned cold. Grandma Zay was stunned. Adolph, I will take you to the palace. Hancock looked at Adolph expectantly. Okay, thank you. Hancock jumped on Salome, held Adolph's hand, and looked back from time to time, like the person sitting on the back of a bicycle secretly watching the other person. This is it. Grandma Zay's heart suddenly trembled when she saw Hancock leaving. As a person who has been there, she seemed to be thinking of something. Marigold, Sandersonia, what on earth is going on? Well, the two people scratched their heads and couldn't explain it, and handed the newspaper to her. Maybe it's the reason for this newspaper. Newspaper? Welcome back, Lady Snake. Who is he? A man with a fish tail. Palace manager Anisida looked at Adolph in surprise. He is from the Igia. Hancock blushed and was speechless. My name is Adolph. I am a mermaid living in the sea. Let's call him a friend and disciple. Adolph smiled and said, don't embarrass others. Apprentice? Anisida was stunned. Anishida, hurry up and prepare the singing banquet. I want to have dinner with Adolph. Hancock said, it's Lady Snake Lady. Lord Snake Lady, would you like to drink something first? Master Adolph? Anisida nodded. Liquor. I'll take milk. Then I want milk too. Hancock quickly changed his words. Yes, Anisida went down. Adolph does it here. Hancock invited Adolph to sit on the snake seat that Salome had turned into, leaning on it like a sofa. It was quite friendly to a mermaid with a tail, and Hancock was right next to him. For Hancock, it was as if his heart beat faster in love. Adolph felt Hancock's touch, and it was the first time he experienced this feeling. Even now, he could give it to him if he wanted it. Not to mention Hancock was so beautiful. Who can bear this? But you must know how to exercise restraint. It is normal for a man to be lustful. He is just a common man, and his desires are not shameful. How about the $2 trillion richest man who still maintains 100 singing and dancing troupes to supply the upper class? Are they elegant? But know when to do what. If you are addicted to desire, your ambition will be defeated, and you will not succeed in whatever you want to do. No matter how good you think, it is just a good idea. Only by trapping the beast of desire in the cage of reason can sexual tension be shown. Of course, the restraint I am talking about does not mean after a few years, but when you rest at night. You can't just do your business anytime, anywhere, 24 hours a day. Hancock, regarding training, I want to start as soon as possible. It's best to start now. If I can, I want to go back to the uninhabited island. I will let the 2 Tianlong people who escaped with me watch. 5 of them are pirates after all. I don't trust them. Adolph naturally held Hancock in his arms, but he suppressed his thoughts and stopped his next actions. Hancock was like a newlywed wife in ancient times who was shy and touching. Okay, I'll listen to you. No, the roof shattered and a person fell down. Chapter 15 Amazon Lily. Adolph frowned, and Hancock's veins popped out on his forehead. She dares to love and hate. She is as shy and charming as a little girl in front of her beloved, but she is also a real arrogant empress in front of others. Hey, mother-in-law, this is the AI family's room. Why are you here? The fire on Hancock's forehead was already burning. Snake Princess, do you know what he did? Marine and world government can't just sit idly by. Now this country is protected by the title of Shichibukai on your head. In the past, we relied on the strong protection of the windlass belt, but now the world government can move freely in this sea area with the help of new shipbuilding technology. Because you are a Shichibukai, even if Kuja makes a career as a pirate, they will not even set foot on the island. Once the title is lost, this country will become one piece, and then tragedy will happen. What should we do with the young and old on the island? Guluoliosa fell from the sky, extremely anxious and serious. So annoying. Drag this old thing out of here. Hancock was annoyed. She didn't want to hear these nonsense. Yes. Two female warriors clamped down. Wait a minute, Snake Lady. Guluoliosa struggled. Who do you think you are? Your era has ended long ago. Amazon Lily has replaced the previous emperor, Groliosa. Even if this country is destroyed because of the willfulness of the AI family, everyone will forgive me. That's because the AI family is so beautiful. Hancock's extremely classic pose of looking up at the person with his chest is absolutely stunning. You willful little girl, now is not the time to joke. Guluoliosa was also very angry. Hancock, she is also thinking about this country. Let's sit down and figure out a way to solve the problem together. Adolf held Hancock's beautiful back and suddenly became a little bird. Well, Adolf, I'll listen to you. Hancock was obedient instantly. He was not even the least bit unreasonable. Everything he said made sense. The so-called double standards actually only have one standard, and he is that standard. Sure enough, Guluoliosa's pupils shrank. She knew this very well. I did bring you disastrous trouble. No, you clearly said you were going to an uninhabited island. I brought you to the Amazon Kingdom. Hancock took the responsibility first. This is your trust in me, and as a man, of course I can't let you shoulder everything. I had already thought about it before coming here, including potential dangers, and there are solutions. If I walk around like a disaster and bring disaster wherever I go, I won't be able to forgive myself. I'll just die. Adolf patted Hancock's arm to reassure her. He didn't know whether Hancock was relieved, but he nodded obediently and seriously. Groliosa began to look at Adolf squarely. She originally only gained Hancock's favor because of her mermaid origin and killing Tianlong. There was something in this. To deal with Amazon Lily and any enemy, it is best to shut it out and deal with it, so as not to fight on the homeland and cause casualties to the people. The world government relies on new technologies to sail in the windless zone, but that does not mean that it can sail at will and be absolutely safe. In fact, their ships will also be attacked by Poseidons. It can only be said that they are relatively silent. They will not be discovered by Poseidons. Then we just need to let their ship be discovered by the Poseidons. Let the Poseidons discover it? Groliosa wondered. For example, if you make large-scale noises on the sea surface, such as shelling, bloody animal carcasses, etc., this is a windless zone, and there are Poseidon nests everywhere. The slightest movement can attract a large number of Poseidon species. You have sea snakes, and you can even directly determine the location of Poseidon-like nests. I suggest cultivating more large sea snakes. It will be very useful whether Poseidon species are captured from the sea as national food or used to protect the country. Adolf's idea is very simple. If you are hiding and hiding for fear of being caught, then I will act as a troublemaker to help you. How can you be so quiet? The sea snakes of the Kuja pirates are extremely poisonous, and even the Poseidons are unwilling to attack. Even if they are discovered by the Poseidons, they will attack the marine side, not us. Groliosa figured it out instantly. Yes, it's just that this requires preparing a large number of shells and animal carcasses in advance. In addition, sea snakes can also be used to directly attract Poseidon species. As long as there is a fierce battle and more movement occurs, more Poseidon species will naturally be attracted. Also, don't forget that I am a mermaid, a race that lives in the sea. It is easy to destroy warships from under the sea. Then I can leave it to the Poseidons in the windless zone to take care of me. Finally, the two heavenly dragons in my hand should also serve as a barrier. Guluoliosa nodded repeatedly, and she felt that everything she said was foolproof. The missing corner of the natural fortress was filled in, and it became impregnable again. Of course, there is a fatal point here, and that is how to determine when the enemy is coming. This is necessary if you want to develop a complete defense system for a country. If it's just a pirate, it doesn't matter where it drifts, but a country must consider this. I have two plans here. One is sea snakes plus phone bugs. Amazon is good at raising snakes. It should not be difficult to cultivate small snakes that can survive in the sea and are poisonous. Their spread can serve as a warning. The other is the sea Katsuyu radar, which can detect conditions in nearby sea areas. It may be eaten in windless areas, but equipped with sea snakes, it can reduce losses. Everyone in the Amazon has snakes as pets and companions, and it is not clear how to cultivate them. The sea Katsuyu appears in the kingdom of Charlotte Linlin. Like the phone bug, it can be used as a bioradar. As a mermaid, he can communicate with Katsuyu, so it is not difficult to tame him. In fact, the most convenient and trouble-free thing is to stare at the person with the fruit ability, super long range of vision. Just look around every half a day. Although the staring fruit is not very powerful in combat, it has real strategic level abilities and even the ability to see through people's hearts. It is a proper god-level fruit. People also want spies. What kind of spies do you want? Learn lip reading and read it directly. Isn't this more accurate than a spy? It's a pity that people in this world have developed minds, and even Doflamingo can only see superficial abilities. In other words, most fruit abilities only develop superficial combat power and only pursue their own individual strength. Staring at those with fruit abilities? Groliosa thought. However, I don't recommend taking her away in a rough way. After all, she is a royal daughter of a franchised country. It would be too conspicuous if she caused trouble to the world government, and she would also let the marine world government know of her existence. This ability is most effective only if it is kept secret. Speaking of which, he had forgotten the name of the country where the charming woman stared at fruit. Who in the right mind would remember these details? But the problem is not big. When the time comes, look at the new world charts and buy a permanent guide. It will be a simple solution. Of course, all of this is preparation for the worst-case scenario. It's better not to be exposed if possible. Adolf smiled. He didn't mention high-end combat power because it was unnecessary. Don't forget that Hancock is not weak, and there is a strong person like Croliosa. Xiachi on the Sabaody Islands is also an Amazon and is the former captain of the Nine Snakes Pirates. There are really many high-end ones. If Marine only had one great general, he would probably fall into disrepair. Groliosa looked at Adolf and nodded secretly, calm and thoughtful, completely different from the pirates. Chapter 16 Don't Chop My Legs. Before eating the prepared singing feast, Hancock and Adolf boarded the boat and returned to the uninhabited island. As for the trivial matters such as the cultivation of sea snakes, they were all left to Granny Zay and the manager. Regardless of whether Adolf is on Amazon Island or not, a complete defense system is essential for a country. Didn't you see that later the world government abolished the Shichibukai system and then turned around and attacked it? Kuja pirates Hancock's room. 3 women and 1 man live in the same room, and it's quite exciting. The potential power that all human beings have, this power is innate, momentum, murderous intention, fighting spirit. When you control these invisible feelings, your willpower can be turned into a weapon. This powerful force is what we call domineering. Hancock transformed into a teacher and explained carefully. Perhaps because of his talent, or perhaps because his physical fitness has reached the required level, Adolf naturally mastered the 2-color domineering force, especially the ability to see, hear, and color with just a few clicks. The easy-to-understand teaching is really good. Even if he only has 3 fingers, he can easily explore unknown black holes under Hancock's guidance. So fast. I mastered it so quickly. The green-haired Sandersonia was surprised. As expected of the man who killed the celestial dragon, orange-haired Marigold admired him. Of course, Mr. Hancock's teachings are good. You don't need to be confused and guessing. You can see at a glance that I am stuck on that problem. Of course it is quick, Adolf said happily. It's up to that mediocre teacher to ask you to realize it. I'm afraid you'll waste 2.5 years in vain. Where? Hancock looked embarrassed. Let's play rock, paper, scissors. Whoever loses, has a drink? Adolf looked at her. Yeah, okay. Hancock nodded sweetly. Marigold, Sandersonia? Adolf looked at the 2 sisters beside him, but he didn't treat them differently because of their appearance. Okay. The 2 nodded, and at the same time they got wine glasses and poured white wine for them. Then the 4 of them started a phantom rock-paper-scissors game. By mastering the hockey of insight, you can read the location and number of enemies outside your sight, as well as the actions the opponent will take in the next moment. Both of them have mastered the domineering power of knowledge and color, and the competition is about personal reactions and the depth of understanding of knowledge and color. Then the problem came. There were 4 people present and 3 opponents. As soon as I mastered the sense of sight, I wanted to kill everyone. Apparently I was thinking too much, so I poured it down. Fortunately, it was just a drink. If there was a game of who would lose, not only would this chapter be GG, he would be afraid that all his tail scales would be lost here. Is Adolf okay? If not, don't drink. Green-haired Sandersonia joked. Adolf. Hancock helped him carefully. Ask, it's not a big question. Adolf burped to hold on. He didn't know much about drinking in the first place. He only loved the milk of coconut milk. Even if his physical fitness increased dramatically after he came to this world, he still didn't drink much, and he was not a wine drinker. He couldn't bear these few bottles. I love men who want to save face, green-haired Sundarsonia said in a funny tone. Knowing color needs to be used calmly. When you are emotional and lose your mind, the domineering color of watching color will also be affected. Orange-haired Sundarsonia reminded. Okay, I can't drink anymore. Adolf leaned on Hancock's arms to calm down the alcohol. If it wasn't for the purpose of training his drinking ability, he wouldn't have suggested this. In other words, you can still maintain a clear consciousness even when your own condition is not that good. But there is one thing to say. The pushing feeling of the large-capacity double exhaust pad is really good. Whoever tries it will know. Oops, I saw a ship approaching. How is that possible? This is a windless zone. If you still have energy, run around the island 2 more times. Don't even see the back of Brother Adolf by then. I want to become one of the 8 kings under Brother Adolf. 8 kings? Ha, that's really good. When Derek heard this, he climbed up to the top of the tree and looked into the distance. A large ship appeared in his eyes, and it was even landing on the island. No, it's the 9 Snakes Pirates. What? Shichibukai. Go back quickly. Tianlong and Aina are still in the east. If Shichibukai discovers that we are on the island, it will be over. F***K. It happens to be at this time. The group of people training around the island hurried back. Oh no, I saw a ship approaching. It's the 9 Snakes Pirates. Sarah ran over in panic. Quickly control those 2 Tianlong people, and don't let them make a sound. Aina thought instantly. However, when they heard that Shichibukai was approaching, the 2 Tianlong people tried their best. Even though they were tied up, they ran madly to the beach, fully unleashing their life potential. The broken-legged Saint Roswaiter could even hop on 1 foot faster than Carulia Palace. Quickly, stop them. The 3 girls from Inashula chased after them anxiously. It's normal. Anyone who has been tortured by the endless darkness will fight for his life when he sees redemption. And the moment he saw the light and the person, he stumbled and fell in excitement, and Shalulia Palace behind him stepped on him and fell. Hearing the movement, the people who logged in looked over one by one. But they no longer cared about this and fell to the ground shouting wildly. Come on. I am Saint Roswaiter. I am a celestial dragon. I can give you endless treasures. Shichibukai. Where are the Shichibukai people? We are Tianlong people. We are world noble. Hancock saw the 2 embarrassed Dracos, lowered his head, clenched his fists and trembled. Really, dragon people. Marigold and Sandasonia looked in shock at the Draco, who fell to the ground and howled in embarrassment, especially the missing leg. It's you. I know you. You are Shichibukai Boya Hancock. Take me back to Mariajoya quickly, or I will let the world government ban your Shichibukai title, and I will let the world government destroy your country. Saint Roswaiter lay on the ground and raised his head with difficulty, shouting crazily at Hancock. Hurry up and untie us. I'm going to kill those slaves and that fishman. Damn it. They all deserve to die. Shalulia Palace's anger could not be suppressed. Hearing the word slave, Hancock shuddered again. The unforgettable painful past is an eternal shadow in their hearts. However, a hand was placed on her back, half hugging her, and the warmth turned into the spring wind blowing. Oh? Who are you going to kill? Whose country are you going to destroy? At this moment, the Tianlong people suddenly understood what the echo of the devil was. The pupils were trembling, but no words could come out of the open mouth. He even held his breath, as if something was strangled around his neck. All the clamoring suddenly stopped. Brother Adolf. Aina and others were surprised and found the only male among the group of people, the particularly eye-catching mermaid Adolf. Brother Adolf. Derek and others finally arrived. Adolf nodded and looked down at the heavenly dragon lying on the ground. It seems that our great Saint Roswaiter has recovered well. He can still run so fast even after cutting off one of his legs. Come on, give me the knife. Hearing these words directly made Saint Roswald's heart tremble. When he saw the knife being handed to Adolf, Saint Roswald panicked and begged heartily, No. Please, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Don't chop me. Don't chop my legs. Oh, then you want me to chop off your head? Once your head is chopped off, it will never run away again, right? Adolf held the knife in one hand, bent slightly and grinned at him, full of oppression, as if the devil had descended. Madman. Real madman. Next to her, Shalulia Palace shrank back as she looked at it. Not to mention the previous shouting, they didn't even dare to breathe. But in Hancock's eyes, in the eyes of Marigold and Sandasonia, it shines as brightly as the sun, tearing through the haze shrouded in their hearts, turn into light and shine in their hearts. Chapter 17 Shalulia Palace Tame. My legs, my legs. No matter how Saint Roswaiter screamed, Adolf still stabbed him mercilessly, staining the sky with blood. This blood-red mark was in everyone's eyes and fell into everyone's hearts. The blood of the celestial dragon has a special meaning, just like slaughtering the emperor of a country and tearing off the supreme authority. Shalulia Palace looked at Saint Roswaiter's severed leg, the blood, the flesh, and the white bones, feeling chills and chills. At this moment, Adolf left an indelible shadow in her heart, just like the celestial dragon in the eyes of a slave, kneeling on the ground, like a frightened little animal, for fear that the steel knife would fall on her. Hancock and the others were relieved, and their trembling at the moment was not fear. It's exciting and touching. Adolf. Hancock looked at him, looking deeply at him. If blood is needed to wash away the wounds in your hearts, then use blood. If their death is needed, then use their death. If that is not enough, then kill all the celestial dragons in the holy land of Marijoa. Ever since I killed the celestial dragon, I have decided that there is only one way to go. Then kill them all. The last thing you need for these pigs waiting to be slaughtered is fear. Adolf holds a blood-stained steel knife in his hand and speaks with a commanding voice. Even if he still needs to keep their lives for other purposes, it doesn't stop him from giving a powerful speech. It still attracts everyone's admiration and fanaticism. Adolf. Hancock couldn't help but pounce on him. His tenderness was like spring water reflecting pear blossoms when he met him, and he wanted to melt his body with him. Yeah, it's okay. Adolf patted Hancock's back soothingly. Derek, why are you still standing? Why don't you stop the bleeding of this noble Draco? Okay, brother Adolf. People with malicious grins surrounded him and started a fire very skillfully. Some people tore off a piece of cloth from his body and strangled him roughly. The hemostatic effect is really strong, and the bleeding stopped immediately. Finally, he put the borrowed steel knife on the fire until it was red-hot, and then, under the frightened eyes of Shalulia Palace, he pressed it against the leg of St. Roswaiter, who had fainted, and woke him up in an instant. Be gentle, old guy. Don't die like this. You can still cut him again. Adolf reminded. Shalulia Palace. Everyone. That's what you mean when you say gentle. His eyes couldn't help but look at his left and right hands, and finally moved to his neck. If it's one time, it's only here, right? Let Shalulia Palace even shuddered as she remembered what she had told her before, to cut off her limbs and put them in a vase, then apply honey on them. It turns out this lunatic can really do that. The sound of the red-hot iron knife squeaking refreshed Hancock and the others, and the eyes they looked at Adolf became more and more satisfied and happy. A madman who doesn't know how high the sky is and challenges the sky. No, that is a hero walking in heaven defying. It's their only light. Brother Adolf, maybe this old guy can't bear it anymore. Why don't you give him some medicine? Derek suggested with a frown. It's not that he's afraid of dying, but that brother Adolf said he could still chop with one more knife, so it would still be useful if he kept it. It's such a pity to die like this. Hancock, do you have a ship's doctor on your ship? Let's see if he will die. Adolf looked at Hancock. The ship's doctor came over for a brief inspection and shook his head. He was too seriously injured and lost too much blood. If he cannot be treated with blood transfusion immediately, he may not survive the day. Do we need immediate rescue? If he is rescued, he will need blood transfusion. Adolf. Hancock looked at Adolf. Everyone else looked at him waiting for a decision. Adolf held his chin and thought, then let's petrify him. Huh. Everyone was stunned. What kind of solution is this? Why should I treat the guy who will be killed sooner or later? It's a waste of energy. As long as he doesn't die now, Adolf said indifferently. Come on, Hancock. Ho-ho. Hancock took a deep breath. Captive's arrow. A small pink arrow turned St. Roswell to stone, and his eyes couldn't help but look towards Shalulia Palace. Don't kill me. Don't petrify me. I will be obedient. I will tell you anything you want to know. Even if Marine comes, I can order them to stay away. I won't run away. I definitely won't run away. Shalulia Palace suddenly became excited and quickly knelt down in front of Adolf and cried bitterly. Although a knife had not fallen on her yet, seeing her father's legs chopped off, she was also deeply stabbed twice in her heart. It's not that I feel distressed, but that I'm afraid. She is really scared of this kind of madman. Adolf glanced at Hancock. Okay, behave well. Thank you. I will behave well. Shalulia Palace bent down and nodded repeatedly. For a moment, she was even moved to the point of crying. At this moment, Hancock also felt the humbleness of the celestial dragons. It turned out that the celestial dragons would also kneel down and submit like slaves. I'm going to give you a task. Throw this leg into the sea and feed it to the fish. Adolf untied the rope. Me. Shalulia Palace's heart tightened for a moment, and she gritted her teeth to hold back. I'll go. Father, please don't blame me. Trembling, he picked up the broken leg, walked to the beach, and threw it into the sea with all his strength. In this windless zone, a bleeding leg must be for feeding fish. There is no miracle that someone will appear in front of someone after crossing the ocean. In the next period of time, I will ask the Nine Snakes pirates to teach you hockey. You must learn from me well. I will leave this island after I sort out my strength. I don't have much time left for you. Adolf swept around. Yes, brother Adolf. After all, they were all just pirates, so he didn't expect these people to achieve much. The only one who had some hope was Derek. And if you want to do something good, a younger brother is also indispensable, especially a loyal younger brother. These people have had the experience of escaping from death with him, and he is still their savior and can be cultivated. Hancock propped up his chin and looked at Adolf infatuatedly, like a little girl looking at her lover. For Derek, Aina, and others, Hancock also gave a little face, the kind of face that he didn't kill directly. Aina, Sarah, and Haida glanced at Hancock faintly and hesitated to speak. That heaven-defying face that kills both men and women, and Shichibukai, the captain of the Nine Snakes Pirates, and the Amazon Lily Emperor, they really can't compare. If one daughter is given as a dowry, how can the three of them compare? Horse splits? Fancy gymnastics? Chapter 18. Sit down and talk. At night, Aina, Sarah, and Haida looked at the Kuja pirate ship docked on the shore. Stop hiding. You should be like me. What should I do? Do I really want to give up? Aina was distressed. But Hancock has been with Brother Adolf, so he has no chance to make a move. Aina was also confused. She is the king of the daughter country. Even if the three of us are together. Haida was desperate. No, I am willing to be a maid. Anyway, we are like this, so what can we do? That's right. Brother Adolf will leave here sooner or later, so why not risk it now? The three of them looked at each other and nodded vigorously. Derek and the other pirates were disapproving when they saw them boarding the ship. They all know the little thoughts of Aina, Sarah, and Haida. How can any girl not love heroes, let alone the combination of hero plus savior? So why not commit yourself to them? As for the five of them, they are envious, but they are also purely longing for women. True love? There is no true love among these pirates. Treasure and power are their eternal pursuit. Shalulia Palace looked at the three of them and followed them hesitantly. Adolf. Hancock covered himself with a blanket and lay in front of Adolf like a cat, savoring the affectionate aftertaste of the waves crashing on the shore. Adolf played with Hancock's hair with one hand and held his beautiful back with the other to enjoy the silky smoothness. Who can stand the vain attitude of pure love? And he is no exception. Isn't this the purpose of life's efforts? Lord Adolf, Aina, Sarah, and Haida are looking for you. Green-haired Sandasonia said. Let them in. Adolf smiled. What are they doing here at this time? Hancock expressed dissatisfaction. This was the time for her to be intimate with her dear brother Adolf. Entering the room, one glance found Adolf and Hancock in an intimate relationship. The blush on Hancock's face and the mist in his eyes made even the girl's heart flutter. She stayed with Adolf and wanted to join them. Then, that we want to stay with you. Aina mustered up her courage. Okay. Adolf agreed happily. The three girls appeared at the auction as dancers and were favored by this Tianlong. They were very beautiful in themselves, and now that he took the initiative, he had no interest in giving them away. Really? Hedda was pleasantly surprised and looked at Hancock nervously. Hancock pouted in disbelief. Is it really that simple? Adolf patted Hancock on the back and held him in his arms, speechless for a moment in love. What's true? I have an undisguised love for beauty. You were originally a South Blue dancer. Speaking of which, I've never seen you dance. In the world of pirates, it is really not something that is unspeakable. Being upright makes you appear heroic and a true man. He's still a South Blue star. Aina adds a different kind of sexual interest with just one sentence, and at the same time she performs a graceful dance, which is very exotic. Dancing, she came to Adolf, and her jade fingers crossed her neck, showing the graceful arc of the Mysian Mountains in front of his eyes. The beautiful mountains and rivers moved Adolf's heart. He couldn't help but take a trip at once. Fat C, I gently said to the side. Sit down and rest. Aina sat down obediently and performed a moving spectacle at close range. Sarah and Haida also came to the side at some point to help Adolf enjoy the scene. Hancock originally had strong opinions, but when he was so dissatisfied, Adolf put a finger in front of his lips and could only mutter vaguely, I am the real palace. The sound of the music was like the ups and downs of the sea. Sometimes the waves surged, and sometimes the tide receded. The fierce and huge waves submerged them all, sinking them into the hot water. As a darling of the sea, he naturally likes to roll in the waves, explore bottomless caves, dig out treasures in the depths, and taste the sweet spring of love. Brother Adolf, the celestial dragons want to see you. Sandasonia came to report with great anticipation. The two sisters were guarding outside, so of course they knew what was going on inside and what was happening. If it were someone else, they would be very impatient, but if it was a celestial dragon, they would be eager to see it on the spot. Seeing the world noble who claimed to be the descendant of the creator being brutally pushed to the ground. Dragon! Hancock was startled, and the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and he proactively said, let her in. Shalulia Palace came in and felt even more nervous when she saw the scene in front of her. I have something to ask you. I beg you at this time, should you show off? Adolf put Haida down and pulled out the shiny performance props that were being maintained. Everyone else is looking forward to looking at Shalulia Palace and looking at the superior celestial dragons. Even Hancock doesn't care if there is another Adolf. Instead, he hopes to see Shalulia Palace take the initiative to show off his talents. Shalulia Palace clenched her fists, trying not to give up, but she still took the initiative to sit down and talk in detail. You can do whatever you want of me, but I want to go to sea with you. Going to sea? This is not possible. Although it's perfectly safe within our sight, I hate it if this happens. Even if it was such a sincere conversation, Adolf refused directly. I promise I won't run away. You can cuff my hands and feet. Shalilia Palace was anxious. Shalilia Palace was completely humiliated. But even so, she did not refute. If you are still worried, you can turn me into stone. Is it because of Derek and the others? That's understandable. Adolf thought. He also wants to trust these men, but the best way is not to give him a chance. Then show your initiative, and I agree. The corners of Adolf's lips curled up. Shalilia Palace had no choice but to perform hard. Father, this man is too terrifying. You are the only one who is hopeless and unworthy of being a woman. From now on, we will never have any ties to each other. I made a decision secretly in my heart and felt less guilty. Chapter 19 2.5 months of internship. What? This won't work. Derek grinned wildly with his arms wrapped around his arms. Damn it. Don't be too happy too early. Lousy has also mastered the weapon colors. He just lacks the strength. Hahahaha, feel free to come over here. Next to them, everyone was clashing fiercely with each other, either with swords or fists. Compared with starting and jumping with barbells, fighting is the best way to exercise. Boom, boom, boom. Hoo-woo. The dense jungle island made a loud noise, and the two figures were as fast as lightning, fighting together crazily. The terrifying strong wind swept by, and the trees were shattered into pieces in the impact. The earth collapsed, and shocking cracks appeared one after another. Fragrant feet. A slender and beautiful leg was wrapped around a powerful armed domineering force, which was torn violently and swept by the fierce wind. However, Adolf had already expected it. He clenched his fist with his left hand and blocked it in front of him, making a sound of gold and stone clashing. The dark armed color blocked the petrification power. At this moment, he turned his fist into his palm and grabbed the beautiful leg, and at the same time, Mermaid Karate, Highlang Bankwan. The right hand was clenched into a fist as if it were catching a package of water vapor from the atmosphere, and it was suddenly blasted out without hesitation. Like Superman's six-stage shaving, hundreds of punches are thrown out in an instant, and the power of the hundreds of punches is superimposed layer by layer, just like the waves of the ocean washing away one after another. Boom! The water vapor sprayed out like a spreading particle stream, shattering all the rocks and trees wherever it passed, and even blasted a semi-arc gap in the distant mountains. You idiot! Why don't you hide? You don't even have the weapon color. Adolf's fist passed by Hancock's face, and his black hair danced particularly elegantly. I guess you won't attack me. Hancock stuck out his tongue playfully. If this punch hadn't deflected, it would have hurt her face. It wouldn't be pretty. He rubbed her face helplessly. Although this punch is powerful, this world is dominated by pure strength, and the physical quality naturally has the defense and toughness to match the strength, not to mention the existence of armed colors. If he hadn't fought until he was exhausted and scarred, it would have been difficult to kill him even with a head-on hit to the head, and it would have been even more impossible to decide the outcome with one punch. Hiss. The mountain was blasted through. That's too exaggerated. As expected of Brother Adolf. Everyone looked at the shock in front of them, and their blood boiled with excitement. This was everyone's primitive worship of power. Here. Seeing Adolf come out, Shalilia Palace quickly came over and handed over a towel, like a dedicated maid. It's adapting well. Adolf was satisfied. Shalilia Palace bowed her head, truly accepting her fate. Hancock was happier to see the celestial dragons so happy than to kill them. You are all pretty good. You have roughly mastered two-color hockey in 2.5 months. In addition to your basic hockey strength, your basic strength has also improved rapidly. It's especially difficult for you. Aina, Sarah, and Haida. Adolf glanced around to show his satisfaction. Yeah. The 3 Aina girls were very happy to be praised. Yes, even the 3 dancing girls have roughly mastered hockey. Regardless of whether they are strong or not, at least they know how to do it. Even the children of Amazon Lily need 2 years of training to master it. Hancock marveled. 2.5 months is long enough. We are not children. It's nothing special. Everyone grinned proudly, but Adolf felt something was wrong. Amazon children have been familiar with it since they were young, and they regard the understanding of hegemony as common sense and a natural ideological culture. Mastering hegemony is as natural as language in all daughter countries. This is normal. But Derek and the others have just come into contact with hockey. Their basic strength is indeed much higher, but is it really that powerful? What's more, Aina, Sarah, and Haida have also learned it. Are their talents really that good? Hancock, who was training with him, also greatly improved, and he felt it personally. Adolf naturally knew. So many abnormal things happened at the same time, and he was the most abnormal. Can the bloodline factor affect the people around you? Make the bloodline of the people around them active? Just like a bonfire, in addition to the flame, also spreads the warmth to the surroundings? Although I don't know the specific reason, it is obviously a good thing. What are you proud of? Go out with this little strength and die in a matter of minutes. I will leave with the 9 snakes pirates later. If I don't have some decent strength when I come back, then I will stay on this island forever, lest I go out and be slaughtered. Adolf didn't give any face. Okay, brother Adolf. I've really had enough of staying on the uninhabited island. Speaking of which, he is really incompetent as the boss. In ancient times, when emperors conquered the world, they shared joys and sorrows with their younger brothers. Although he worked hard during the day, he was even more intense at night. This didn't work, it was very bad. So I decided to leave with the 9 snakes pirates. If you can't see it, you won't miss it. It's been 2.5 months, haven't you found it yet? Warring States looked at the reward list in front of him and had a headache. Sengoku Fleet Admiral, Marine has been searching all over the world for the past 2.5 months, but there is no news about Roswade Saint and Shalulia Palace, nor has she received any calls regarding clues. We speculate that they are probably hiding in the windless zone, or the bottom of the sea, somewhere Marine can't reach. Under the influence of Adolf, pirates are now becoming more and more unscrupulous. Many kingdoms have been robbed by pirates, and the Grand Line is getting out of control. The staff officer looked at the document report. The mermaids can't be caught in the sea. This is really troublesome. Kizaru crossed his legs and glanced at Akainu. The celestial dragon's matter has been involved for too long. If it continues like this, it will be difficult for Marine to control the situation. Akainu held his cigar in his mouth with a heavy expression. Sengoku looked at the reward list and made up his mind. Stop searching for the celestial dragons in the entire Marine Corps and pursue the pirates with all their strength. I will speak to the 5 elders. Let the Shichibukai also move. It's time for them to play their role. Yes. Of course they hated Adolf, but they had no intention of rescuing the 2 Dracos. If you die, you'll die. As long as you don't die in front of them, it's the world government's business and has nothing to do with them. Akainu got up and walked outside. What he likes to do most is to clean up the garbage at sea. It's a pity that after becoming a general, he has too many important tasks to perform, and he can't wander around to clean up pirates. There are not many pirates worthy of him as a general. If he really needs to be dispatched, only Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard are the important combat forces of the pirate group. But pirates with this kind of power cannot easily launch an encirclement and suppression. It will be a big battle. But things are different now. The sea needs to be calmed down quickly. Telling the world about the deterrent power of Marine is also a very important task. The 9 snakes pirates. Just right. Not long after Marineford came out, the Akainu warship collided with the Kuja pirates. Hancock came out. Sister. Sir Adolf. Sandersonia and Marigold were anxious. Adolf looked towards Shalulia Palace. I can come forward to ask Akainu to leave, but I don't know if it will work. He probably won't care about my life or death, and the Knights of God will definitely rush over immediately. Shalulia Palace said quickly. Adolf only took a look at it, and of course he knew that this method could not be used a second time. If he finds out, he should attack directly. If he has no choice, it is possible for the 2 of us to join forces and sink him into the sea. I'll go out and deal with it first. Hancock nodded, not caring about the so-called general. The door opened, and he walked towards the bow of the ship. As strong people, they still have confidence even when facing stronger people. That is what their strong strength gives them. Hancock, Marine wants to clean up this sea and make the garbage quiet. It's time for you Shichibukai to play your role. Akainu is burly and sturdy. Shichibukai is directly under the world government, and Marine has no qualifications to give orders. Hancock didn't buy it. These words made Akainu grit his teeth and feel uncomfortable. It was really disgusting. He believed in absolute justice. Marine garbage suddenly turned into colleagues? How dare you refuse Marine orders? He clenched his fists in annoyance. The hot lava rolled, and the atmosphere suddenly became tense. Not only the fruitability, but also the knowledge and color are spread out. Hancock's pupils shrank. Buzz! Invisible conquerors suddenly rushed out, and in this invisible thing, there were black and red streaks of lightning dancing in the air like snakes. The overwhelming air waves continued to sweep towards the surroundings, and even the sea was set off in waves towards the distance. Plop, plop, plop. Marines fell down one by one on the warship, and 90% of them were unable to resist Hancock's conqueror's domineering force. When she broke through the mountain of celestial dragons in her heart, her soul was liberated, and conquerors also broke free from the constraints, showing the arrogance and power that an empress should have. Akainu glanced behind him, suppressing the anger that was about to burst out. Hancock, what do you want to do? Sakaski. This is the AI family ship dash. Hancock was tough and refused to give in. The lava on Akainu's fist was burning, and the atmosphere suddenly became extremely tense. Chapter 20 Pluton E. Rayleigh. Snort. After a moment of stalemate, Akainu still didn't break out. As far as I know, you haven't been active in the sea for a long time. Do you still have the deterrence of Shichibukai? You don't need to worry about this, Hancock said and turned back to the ship. 2 snakes carried the pirate ship away, treating it as nothing. General Sakaski, the adjutant, was worried. Akainu clenched his fists tightly and his face was twisted ferociously, but he did not take action until the 9 snakes pirates disappeared from sight. Adolf was even forced to kneel down and hold his head because the celestial dragons could not take action that time. The humiliating scene spread throughout the sea. This time, because the opponent is Shichibukai recognized by the world government, we can't take action. It's so hot. Regardless of the force fields on both sides, I actually like that guy Sakaski very much. Compared to the lazy Kizaru and the fishy Aokiji, he is rare and conscientious. Adolf sighed. Brother Adolf, you forced Akainu to kneel down. I'm afraid he will go crazy and come back with revenge when he sees you. Aina laughed playfully. Shalulia Palace was disappointed and relieved. If they are just discovered, it is indeed possible to rescue them, but it is more likely that they will lose 2 legs or even their lives. Adolf, if you want to go to the New World, the ship needs coating. I know a great craftsman in the Sabaody Islands. I also use the Shichibukai power to take the route above the Red Earth continent. Hancock looked at him shyly, like a little girl waiting for praise. Let's take the undersea route. Let's go directly to New World. There is no need to go to Fishman Island on the way. Adolf rewarded Hancock with a sly. Hancock is really the best choice for a pure love god of war. A stunning beauty who has eyes for you. Not only is she powerful, but she is also the king of the daughter country. Who cannot love her? Sabaody Islands, lawless zone. Shaky. Ah, isn't this Hancock? Long time no see. Shaki was surprised as he smoked a cigarette. Hello. Adolf followed Hancock in. Adolf, this is really unexpected. The world government has been looking for you for so long, and there is no news at all. It turns out that you are with Hancock. Shaki was surprised. I settled in the windlass belt. I approached Hancock in order to learn domineering, but then I seemed to be captured. Adolf said with a smile. Me too. Hancock was sweet. He was always in his eyes. Every Amazon emperor is like this. Bless you. Shaki poured drinks for the 2 of them. Then why are you here this time? Although Marine is not searching the world, as long as the reward is there, someone will report the clues. I came to Rayleigh to help with coding. Hancock gate of opening said straight to the point. That old man, I haven't seen him for a long time. Shaki was smoking. We don't have time to wait for him. Hancock closed his eyes and his domineering aura spread. The Sabaody Islands are not small, but they are not big either. After all, they are just tree roots exposed on the sea surface. Soon, Hancock found his target, and Conqueror's domineering force struck through the air like lightning. Huh. Pluton Rayleigh was stunned and couldn't help laughing heartily. Hahaha, this is asking me to go back. What a unique way. Old man. At the slave house auction, the people next to him looked at him. How could he still laugh after being captured as a slave? Then I saw him easily break free from the handcuffs, untie the collar, and get out of the cage. Hey old man, take us with you. I wanted to follow, but the cage was closed. What's going on? The slave trader heard the noise and ran over. He fainted and fell to the ground before he could finish speaking. And Rayleigh has also gone back. It's Hancock, he's grown so big. Adolf. Ha. What you did is really beautiful. My stomach hurts from laughing at that photo. Rayleigh came back and recognized Adolf at once, and burst out laughing. I have long admired your name, Pluton Rayleigh. I was very scared when I was carrying the celestial dragon. Adolf smiled. Afraid of mentioning the celestial dragons? Ha. The celestial dragons don't dare to come to the Sabaody Islands because of your incident. Even I kind of admire you, little brother Adolf. Shaki smiled. You are the only one who dares to bring up the celestial dragons and make the Marine Fleet Admiral kneel down. The world government also has a headache. Rayleigh laughed heartily. Headache? No, they will be scared. Huh. Rayleigh Shaki was stunned. You don't think you should be happy that I escaped and the matter is over like this, right? How is that possible? Everything has just begun. There seemed to be fire burning in Adolf's eyes. Rayleigh Shaki particularly appreciates this kind of people, regardless of dreams or ambitions, hatred or gratitude. As a pirate, I didn't have such a noble character. Going to sea represented the future and vitality, no matter how many people these pirates killed along the way and how much evil they did. World government has existed for so long that people in the world have taken it for granted that those guys are born with supreme authority, and they don't dare to resist even if they are close at hand. Even if I am a slave and tortured to death, I will only kneel on the ground and pray for the coming of the Savior. In that case, then let me crush that supreme authority. Adolf clenched his fist and raised it, speaking passionately with high will. Ha. Crushing the power of the celestial dragons is such an amazing dream. Rayleigh drank with pride. Rayleigh, I need your power. Adolf looked directly at Pluton Rayleigh. Rayleigh was stunned, and after talking for a long time, it turned out that she was trying to blame him. She couldn't help but laugh and said, "Does the savior also need help from others? I am not a savior, and there is no savior in this world. The only one who can save us is ourselves." Adolf said, "There is no savior." Rayleigh lifted the wine glass for a moment, and her smile gradually faded. He thought of what Roger said in Raftel. They left early and it wasn't time yet. The future Joey boy, the future true king? Is there really a savior in this world? Adolf said profoundly, "No one can be the savior. If everything is destined, then wouldn't it be nice if everyone went home and went to bed? The future is already destined anyway. What do you want to do?" Rayleigh put the glass down. Adolf's expression sank, awakening people's numb hearts, starting from the execution of the celestial dragons. Rayleigh Shaki was shocked and looked at him in shock. Hancock and others beside him also looked at him in disbelief. This madman. Ahahaha. I'm beginning to believe that you really are the savior. Adolf. Rayleigh burst into tears and burst into tears. I will not become the savior, but what I do may be the savior for the world. The corners of Adolf's lips curled up slightly, extremely confident. I have no choice but to ask for nothing except to open my mouth. However, which A-share company does not rely on PPT plus open mouth to go public and raise funds? It is also enviable to make a lot of money. Even the founders of many companies such as Alibaba initially relied on just one mouth. Let's talk about attracting investment. Which investment can't be deceived by just talking? For really promising projects, people come to them on their own and they need you to attract investment? What is a pattern? This is the pattern. It was a breeze at the beginning, and I was able to eat 5 or 6 times with just one mouth. The worst mistake is to fail the admissions process as an art student, just a little bit worse. 3 days passed quickly, and the Kuja pirate ship was successfully coated and headed towards the new world. Do you think Brother Adolf can succeed? On the shore, Shaki smoked a cigarette and looked at the pirate ship deep into the sea from a distance. I don't know, but he must be the guy who scares the world government. If he survives, he might really shake the world. Rayleigh was in a cheerful mood. He originally thought that at most he would be a guy like Kaido who was afraid of chaos in the world. But now he has changed his mind. This is a guy he can't see through at all. The world is incredible. There are even such crazy people. If Roger knew about it, he would definitely look forward to it. That is no less than a big event that goes around the world and becomes one piece. The world will be shaken. Shaki is looking forward to it. Chapter 21, Doflamingo. Run away, run away. Whoosh. With one arrow shot, the people who had spent all their savings for the country fell into the hands of the king they trusted. In the pool of blood, there was still disbelief in his eyes. Why? Why did your beloved king kill him? Yeah. Stop it quickly. King Liku cried bitterly and begged, but his body could not stop at all, and he continued to kill the people he loved at his mercy. King Riku, please stop. What did we do wrong? Even now, the people nearby still feel that they did something wrong. Get out of the way. Don't come close to me. Stay away from me. King Riku cried and wailed, but no matter what he did, he couldn't control his body. Why? Why is the body moving on its own? Why? Your Majesty the King, what's wrong with you? The commander-in-chief soldiers also looked at their beloved King Liku blankly. What a cruel king. Don Quixote Doflamingo grinned wantonly on top of the huge castle of the kingdom of Dressrosa. Come on, the night has just begun. Lovely warriors, jump up too. Parasite line. Ha, run quickly, even the soldiers are going crazy. King Liku has trampled on our trust in him. He steals people's money and lives like this, and treats us like garbage for his own selfish desires. King Riku, you bastard. We hate you. You are such a scumbag. Run. King Liku's army is coming. Who's going to stop this dash? Schwa. A wave of water-light microwaves slashed across the sky, and its sharp edge continued to spread out, cutting off all the thin lines invisible to the naked eye, leaving slender slashes all the way to the huge castle at the end of the distant city. A slash from such a distance? Doflamingo's expression changed. It was too far from the small town to the castle at the end of the city. Yes, I can control it. King Liku was stunned. Quick, throw away the weapon and save the wounded immediately. All the soldiers quickly stopped killing, threw away their weapons, and explained to the people. Tap, tap, tap. Are you the king of this country? Hancock asked with a condescending and arrogant attitude, and his powerful aura shocked everyone. Behind her were the 9 Snakes pirates and the ape girl pulling a carriage-like carriage. The panic, uneasiness, and crying all came to an abrupt end. No matter the people, King Liku, or the soldiers, they all stared blankly at this proud and beautiful queen. Yes, I am. Did you save us? King Rika's nose was still dripping with snot, but he also understood that the sudden stop was not the conscience of the devil, but someone else who saved him. We have something to ask you. Hey boy, a Hancock. This is the target I'm targeting. Doflamingo came with a group of family cadres, his face darkened and ugly, even ferocious. He had been preparing for this day for a long time, and even planted spies in advance. But I didn't expect that when I was about to succeed, someone would forcefully intervene. Then change your target. I'm interested in this. Hancock said with a deadpan expression, not taking it seriously at all. Damn it. How dare a mere woman speak to the young master like this? Mr. Diamanti was unhappy. Zenipink, Dellinger, Rauji, Mahabaizi, Gladius, Sugar, Monet, Chawla and other cadres and members collectively stepped forward and gained momentum. The Nine Snakes pirates also took up their weapons, and Sandersonia, Marigold, Genshin, Cosmos, Daisy, Purple Shanhua and others refused to give in. Although she is a woman, even the children in Amazon Lily have mastered domineering and see strength as beauty. They are a real fighting nation. Every member of the Nine Snakes pirates is the best in the national competition. It can be said that each one has two-color domineering and powerful strength. If it wasn't necessary for the plot, how could Luffy win Sandathonia and Marigold with his strength? Not to mention Too Strong. The Marine headquarters is at least an elite lieutenant general who can master two-color domineering. Suddenly, the atmosphere became extremely tense, and a war seemed about to break out. King Liku looked dumbfounded at both sides, not daring to sniff the snot hanging from his nose. When did their poor country become so welcoming? Doflamingo looked at the Nine Snakes pirates behind Hancock, gritted his teeth and decided to back down. Hancock, what do you want? I can consider giving it to you. You. King Liku wanted to stop him, but he found that he had no power to speak at all. Even speaking in this atmosphere makes me tremble. You are such an idiot. After I drive you away, everything in this country belongs to my sister and that person. Green-haired Sundar Sonia laughed, almost spilling the beans. Veins popped up on Doflamingo's forehead. He was unruly, cruel, and unkind, and he never had a good temper. Unable to bear it any longer, the powerful conquerors charged out. Hancock Conquerors is also released. Those who have conquerors will never succumb to others or give in even a step. Buzz. The collision of the two conquerors caused an impact of air waves, like a raging storm. The dust was stirred up, the flames were extinguished, and even people could not open their eyes. This invisible, black and red mixture resembles the lightning dance of a snake, which makes people's scalp numb. The people of the kingdom of Dressrosa fell one after another, and even the battle-hardened warriors could not resist. This woman actually has Conqueror's domineering spirit. Treble was so frightened that snot came out of his nose. Damn it, I actually suppressed the young master conquerors. The others were also frightened, feeling as if they had been kicked on an iron plate and regretted it. They have always regarded conquerors as a symbol of the overlord of the sea, and because of conqueror's dominance, they regard Doflamingo as their main character. Now a woman actually owns it, and she is even superior to their young master. Damn it, Doflamingo was also shocked. He didn't expect to be suppressed. Conquerors couldn't spread at all. As it is compressed, this small circle of conquerors becomes stronger and is enough to protect itself. Doflamingo. A voice came out among the noise. Doflamingo's pupils contracted, and he looked at the monkey girl's car. Give me some face. Otherwise, I will stay here forever. The voice from the ape girl's car came out, and Hancock also took back his domineering attitude. He stood beside the ape girl's car and looked at him indifferently, as if the arrogant empress gave him a chance to breathe. And he seemed to be led by the person in the ape girl's car. You said you want me to give you face? You don't even dare to show your true face. How can I give you face? Doflamingo looked up at the ape girl car. Are you sure you want to know? Adolf said calmly. Doflamingo fell silent for a moment. He looked vaguely at Hancock, who was standing next to the ape girl's car, and the entire Kuja pirates were also standing behind him. He didn't know who was inside, but based on Hancock's attitude, he knew that the people inside were anything but ordinary. Once you show up, I'm afraid there is no other choice. If a fight breaks out, he has the confidence to run away, but I am afraid that none of the family cadres will be left behind. The kingdom of Dressrosa belonged to the Don Quixote family 800 years ago. I just want to take back what belongs to me. Doflamingo's tone dropped. 800 years ago? Why didn't you say 10,000 years ago? According to your calculation, this world didn't belong to the world government at first. It didn't belong to the Tianlong people. Doflamingo looked fiercely. Do you want to save the kingdom of Dressrosa? Chapter 22 Princess, you don't want to either. That's right. I won't stay here to be their nanny. If you want to do anything you like after we leave, I will kill you. Adolf said calmly. You guy. One sentence made Doflamingo's veins pop out on his forehead, and he became angry. Then it became popular. Huh. Let's go. Doflamingo suppressed his anger. Young master, are you just giving it up to them? It's just a group of women. A guy who doesn't even dare to show his face. Are you afraid of them? Fight Dover. How will you know if you don't try? Everyone was stunned. This was too sudden. It was too ugly for a pirate to lose like this. Shut up, you bunch of idiots. Doflamingo shouted angrily. Didn't he want to have a good fight? Our purpose is to steal the country. Now it has been discovered. If we drag it down, Marine will intervene. This is a world government member country. Adolf watched the Doflamingo family leave without any intention of stopping them. Even if he joins forces with Hancock, there is no guarantee that Doflamingo will be left behind, and he will go to heaven. And if he can't keep everyone, then he will be exposed. Instead, Amazon Lily fell into a passive position. Die together is not what he wants to see. King Liku, take us to your castle. Adolf said. Okay. The king of a country was acting like a primary school student, and his head had not yet realized what was going on. When King Riku returned to the castle with the 9 snakes pirates, Violet, Scarlet, son-in-law Cyrus, and granddaughter Rebecca had already arrived at the castle. Father, what happened outside? Why did you suddenly kill people? Scarlet couldn't help but ask when King Liku came back. Let all the servants and guards get out. Hancock said coldly. Your Majesty King Riku, who are they? Cyrus looked at the 9 snakes pirates warily. You all get out. King Liku waved his hand. Marigold also asked the rest of the 9 snakes pirates to go outside and be on guard. Scarlet looked at her sister Violet. Of course Violet understood what her sister meant, and she had seen it with her ability before. He whispered, it's a mermaid with a blue tail. However, Adolf got out of the 8 girls' car without her informing him. Peeping and snitching is not a good habit. Adolf looked at the person in purple dress with the ability to stare at the fruit, and then glanced at the others. Scarlet in a pink dress is unfortunately married now and her child is 6 years old. I have no choice but to wait for you for 10 years. Adolf. King Liku opened his mouth wide. He never expected that it would be this guy. The one who killed the celestial dragon, Adolf. Cyrus also became frightened. So remember to keep it a secret. If the world government knows that I have been here, all of you will be doomed. Adolf's lips curled up slightly. You. King Liku's eyes were about to burst. The man who killed the celestial dragons for freedom. Scarlet also read the newspaper and admired Adolf very much. That's right. Give me freedom or give me death. In this sea where life is at stake, I'm lucky that I succeeded. Adolf smiled and then looked at Violet. Gate of opening, let me tell you straight to the point. I have only one purpose for coming here. I want you to stare at someone with fruit abilities. What is your name? Violet. Violet said a little scared. Don't even think about it. If you want to touch Scarlet's family, you have to step over my body. Cyrus held a sword in front of him, showing a desperate resistance posture. If you want to die, I will be happy to take care of your wife and daughter for you. The princess is so beautiful and your daughter is so cute. I won't suffer at all. Speaking of which, if we kill you all, we can keep it more secret. Adolf was casual and a little excited when he said it. After all, Scarlet is indeed very good, and she has the blessing of being a wife. If at the tomb of Cyrus. No, he is a decent person. How could he do something like that? But if he seeks death on his own, or is killed by others, then there is nothing he can do. He can't have no one to take care of him. How dare you? Cyrus said angrily. His family is the enemy of all good men. Scarlet was also flustered and quickly pulled Rebecca behind her. Cyrus! King Rika stopped, feeling extremely complicated. They saved me and drove Doflamingo away. Otherwise, all of us would be dead now, and Dressrosa would also be in Doflamingo's pocket. Them? Everyone was surprised. Monet just opened the castle gate and led a group of pirates into the castle. She was a spy planted by the pirates. But then Adolf and the others came to rescue their father, and these pirates went out. Violet said. She has the ability to stare at fruit, and she can see the whole thing very clearly, and she actually doesn't have much hostility towards Adolf and the others. It's just that you mention her by name right now. How could a girl not be afraid of her? What if it's a group of people? No, not even by one person. I must take Violet away. Isn't it an excessive reward for protecting you this time? In addition, I hope you will keep it secret and hide that I have been here. Of course, if you want to make a fuss, I'll tell you that I'm here to make a deal with you. I think the world government won't mind destroying you to show off your power. The world government can't do anything to me, so it's easy for you. Even if you can negotiate with the world government, it will be difficult to negotiate with Doflamingo. Adolf was calm, completely defeating them. Everyone was dumbfounded. If the world government knows, I really don't know what will happen. Will the world government listen to their explanation? All the good feelings I had just had disappeared, and I felt even more desperate about their situation. There was world government in the past, Doflamingo in the back, and maybe even Adolf would take revenge. It would be too difficult for them. It's just a poor agricultural country. Is this really necessary? Princess Violet, you don't want anything to happen to the kingdom of Dressrosa, right? Adolf's lips curled up slightly. He was determined to defeat them. I am willing to go with you. But you must not hurt your father and sister. Violet mustered up her courage. So I'm trying to reason with them now, but compared to reason, the stakes make them more rational. Adolf was helpless. He was obviously a good person. King Liku, you know what to do next, right? Wash the floor well. Come in. It's time for us to leave, he said and returned to the ape girl's car. Violet, I'm sorry. My father is useless. King Riku cried bitterly. Violet shook her head. At least the most tragic situation didn't happen. This is already the best. Rebecca, my aunt will play with you from now on. Listen to mommy. She pinched Rebecca's little face. Auntie, are you leaving? Rebecca held her hand reluctantly. Auntie will come back, she said helplessly and followed the ape girl into the car. Auntie, I will rescue you, Rebecca shouted as she looked at the retreating team. Separation between life and death makes me so heinous. Adolf was speechless. This little cutie would not fight with him in the future. Forget it, it's free of charge if you come here. Chapter 23. You look at how big and beautiful this cake is. Tadion, Tian Longren. Entering the Kuja pirate ship, Violet was completely stunned. She actually saw Tianlong being tied to the bedside. Wouldn't that be? At this moment, all she could think about was the R-Star band product plot. However, in fact, she was right under her. Come and sit. Adolf held Violet's hand. No, don't touch me. I will be obedient. Don't tie me up. Violet was frightened. Hahahaha. Aina and the others couldn't help laughing. Shalulia Palace bit her lip and turned away. World Noble, what a shame. But even more humiliated, she took the initiative to do it. What else could she do? Violet reacted, sorry, I'm too nervous. Let me introduce your abilities first. Adolf didn't care. I am a person with the power of starefruit. I can see through all lies and see things through, Violet said, looking at Adolf with her hands clasped in her eyes. Huh. Adolf frowned. Violet's face suddenly turned red. She actually saw Adolf attacking her crazily. It was too. I asked you to help me. Don't read my thoughts casually. Adolf's words were a little cold. Sorry. Violet lowered her head in shock. Normally, you are in a state of clairvoyance, which allows your vision to be centered on yourself and conduct long-distance observations within a radius of 4,000 kilometers. 4,000 kilometers? Hancock was surprised. This distance is too far. No wonder a user with the ability to stare at the fruit can ensure that Nine Snakes Island is safe. Look at Doflamingo and them there, Adolf said. Violet looked around and quickly found Doflamingo and the others 70 kilometers away in the east, leaving the kingdom of Dressrosa. Take note of Doflamingo's phone number, Adolf said. Violet nodded and saw the Doflamingo phone number directly. Adolf nodded. Let's go to the small island on the side. You are looking for the Dongdada clan. Violet was nervous. I need their power. Don't worry, they won't mess around. Adolf didn't hide it either. Both the healing fruit and the little humans themselves were strategic. The Dongtada tribe, also known as the Little Humans, only have fist-sized bodies, but possess extremely exaggerated strength and speed. They are also good at plant cultivation and love nature. They cultivate all the raw materials of Doflamingo artificial devil fruit, which is enough to prove their ability. But he is also extremely innocent and pure, just like a child in a fairy tale who has not grown up. He believes all nonsense and is very easy to be deceived. It's Princess Violet. Princess Manxili Leo, Rambo. Violet looked at them happily. Princess Violet, are they your friends? It's amazing. The lower body is a fish. A group of people from the small human race surrounded Adolf. Because of the relationship brought by Violet, he was completely unwary of Adolf and regarded him as one of his own. Because I am a mermaid, a creature that lives in the sea, and I am a special race like you. Adolf's words made them feel like one of their own. Wow, the mermaid tribe, those beautiful scales, can you touch them? Princess Manxili curiously poked Adolf's tail scales. Actually, I have something to ask you. Adolf began to tell a story. If you have any questions, just tell me. You are Princess Violet's friend, and we will definitely help you. Leo said, patting his chest. This is not enough. Not because of the relationship between Violet and her friends. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Adolf, a mermaid from the deep-sea Fishman Island. Because he is a rare mermaid, he was almost sold into slavery by the celestial dragons. Adolf confessed that he did not cover up his humiliating experience at all, but used it as a weapon. After all, the anti-killing Tianlong people successfully escaped and even made Sengoku Akainu kneel down. It was something worth showing off to others. Slave. The celestial dragons are so hateful. All the little humans hate evil as much as they hate their enemies. I was lucky enough to escape before being sent to Mariajoya, but there are countless people who were enslaved by the Draconians in Mariajoya. Humans, giants, merfolk, fishmen, furs, long-footed, long hands, snake-headed, little human, etc. There are even many races that were brutally exterminated. Adolf clenched his fists tightly, with anger burning in his chest. Even the conquerors, unconsciously, spread with the anger, making everyone feel his anger substantially. Adolf. Hancock felt the same. Adolf. Violet looked at him, and now she suddenly felt like he knew him. Little humans. Are there also Dongdada tribesmen who are enslaved? There is actually genocide. It's so horrific. They are so pitiful. The celestial dragons and those kings and nobles are so abominable. The little human race suddenly became angry, wishing to knock down all those people now. Among the crowd, Gan Xiao, the leader of the Dongdada tribe, walked out with a cane. In the past, our Dongdada tribe was also enslaved. It was a dark history of blood and tears. The Don Quixote family became one of the 20 kings and are now the celestial dragons. Don Quixote family. Violet was frightened. She didn't expect Doflamingo to be a celestial dragon. What's wrong? The little human couldn't help but look. Just now, the Don Quixote family came to the kingdom of Dressrosa. Violet said, "Are those demons coming back?" The little human race panicked. Yes, that guy controlled the father and massacred the people. It was Adolf who drove them away. Violet said complicatedly, "Great. If we let the Don Quixote family come back, we will be doomed too." Gan Xiao, the leader of the Dongdada clan, was afraid. "Thank you, Adolf Lando." The little humans expressed their gratitude in unison. It's a small effort, but there are still countless people trapped in Mariajoya. I want to end this once and for all. Execute all the celestial dragons, those cruel kings and nobles, including those garbage at sea, and let the whole world return to peace and order. Adolf clenched his fists and shouted, declaring his ambition. At this moment, he seemed to be fighting with people's sleeping hearts and awakening numb souls. At this moment, the sun rose behind him. All the villains held their hands, opened their mouths, and looked at him with admiration, like a great hero holding a flag high. My strength alone is not enough. Adolf lowered his head, looked at the little human race, looked at Leo, looked at Princess Manxili and the others, and stretched out his palm. I need you. The world needs you, and you also need your voice. Are you willing to fight for yourself? Adolf Lando, let us fight for you. Manchili mustered up his courage. No, you are fighting for yourselves, not me. Adolf imbued them with a sense of crisis, and suddenly felt the impending crisis. Yes, for our own sake. If the Don Quixote family comes back, we will all be doomed. Leo believed it instantly, and all the little humans also firmly believed it. The will to fight is extremely high. Chapter 24, Unearthing the Treasures of the Little Humans. Dover, are we just going to give up? That's your country. Treble said with a snod in his face. Doflamingo glanced sideways at him and said flatly, that guy is right. After all, 800 years have passed. This is no longer our clan's kingdom. Maybe King Riku has contacted the world government by now and changed it to another non-joining country. It is unjustifiable for Shichibukai to seize the participating countries. If it is allowed, it will not be a slap in the face. But after all, he is still a celestial dragon without the identity of a celestial dragon. What will happen to him will definitely not happen, but a warning is inevitable. Who is that mysterious guy? Damn it, it's just a close call. Pika complained in his voice like a eunuch. I'm afraid it's not ordinary people who can make a woman with Conqueror's domineering power completely obey him. Diamante thought. It's a pity that I have been exposed, otherwise I could have returned to the castle to find out the news. Monet pushed up the frame of his reading glasses. Nothing is more immediate than violence, and nothing is more lasting than thought. After Adolf's speech, the little human completely changed into his shape, and his liver and brain were all messed up. Princess Manchili, please keep making and storing products with healing effects. Adolf said. Okay. Princess Manxili nodded without asking why. An innocent and simple race like the little humans will most likely forget it after a few days of heat. For this reason, Adolf specially added. Princess Manchili, the battlefield requires death. Every additional cure means one less sacrifice. Your ability will save countless warriors, countless families, and even affect the direction of the world. I will try my best to create a healing dandelion. Manxili promised quickly in panic. It turns out that she is so important. Just give her a sense of responsibility. Thank you for your understanding. Don't work too hard. Your health is also precious. Adolf smiled gently. Although there is no direct combat effectiveness, it is not an exaggeration at all. Who doesn't know the importance of wet nurses? Clan leader Ganxiao of the Dongdada tribe, can you please lead the small humans to cultivate high-yielding crops? Adolf looked at the old leader of the small humans who was wearing a cane. High-yielding crops are a piece of cake for our Dongdada tribe. Ganxiao, the leader of the Dongdada tribe, is full of confidence. Thank you for your understanding. The whole world is an island, and many places are not suitable for growing food at all. Countless people starve and die like dead wood. Children even die without having enough food to experience the feeling of being full. If there are crops that are high-yielding, easy to feed, and easy to grow, they will not die and can live happily. Although you little humans only have a few thousand people, you have the ability to save tens of millions of people, benefit the whole world, and make everyone feel full and happy. Adolf seemed to have a heart for the world, empathy, and compassion. It directly made the eyes of the entire small human race burn with the flames of fighting spirit. Please leave it to us. Adolf Lando. The sense of responsibility, mission, and honor is completely ignited. That kind heart always urges them to burn themselves with all their strength, and they feel guilty even if they rest for a second. I don't need even a Pele. I've already had enough spiritual food. Then please. Adolf entrusted him sincerely and solemnly. Therefore, every leader must have good pie painting skills, especially leaders. Bread with ideological consciousness can not only satisfy hunger, but also bring happiness and strength to people. You didn't give me enough money, you didn't make the cake round, and you still keep showing off at 2,500,000 to 80,000 yuan every day. Lousy's salary of 3,000 yuan is nothing to serve. Adolf, that? Violet suddenly hesitated. What's wrong? The kingdom of Dressrosa is a purely agricultural country. Everyone lives a very poor life, and some villagers don't have enough to eat. Can these crop seeds be? Violet was embarrassed. Adolf was speechless. With such powerful neighbors, the two tribes still often play together. It's been 800 years, and you haven't even thought about doing something to feed and clothe the people? Well, this world is a purely worse world. There is no worst, only worse. Compared with those brutal kings who slaughtered the slums at every turn, the kingdom of Dressrosa, which has not had a war for 800 years, is considered a wise king. Violet was so embarrassed that she couldn't speak. As the royal family, they would not think about this at all. I will tell King Liku that the high-yield crop seeds here will be promoted in the kingdom of Dressrosa first. They can also be exported to the outside world as a vegetable-growing country, or they can be hoarded and stored. I will buy them all. Adolf said. Yeah, please, this way everyone in the kingdom of Dressrosa can live a better life. Violet was grateful. For such a big kingdom, 10 billion needs to be raised from the people of the whole country, which is outrageous. Aaron is in the East China Sea. Can a village receive 25 million belly? Converted to 250 adults, and it has been collected for 10 years. Although King Riku is a good man, it is true that Adolf Lando is the man who cares about the world. The small human race came to the conclusion that they were extremely proud to work for such a person. Then it's time for me to leave, everyone. I'm wanted by the world government, and I'm not suitable to stay here for a long time. Please also treat me as a secret, don't mention it to anyone else, and don't talk about it in normal times. If you let others hear it, it will probably bring disaster to you. If you really encounter that situation, you must hide and contact me using the phone book. I will take you to a safe place. Adolf gives them a telephone book. Then the little human race dismantled the phone bug in an instant, allowing the snail bug to crawl. Adolf's words stuck in his throat. We love nature and don't like to trap animals like this. Ganxiao, the leader of the Dongdada tribe, explained. Okay, you're happy, but you must put it on and call me when you need it. Adolf said. The phone bug itself is a kind of creature. It can be used just by installing the push-button microphone. It doesn't matter if it is usually removed. After saying that, Adolf also left Greenbit with a group of people. Return to the Kuja pirate ship. Hancock, Sandersonia, and Marigold are here. Violet is not allowed to peek. Adolf waved and took the 3 Hancock sisters to a secret room. What's wrong? Even we are coming. Sundar Sonia was confused. Take off your clothes. Marigold and Sandersonia were immediately stunned. Their faces turned red and embarrassed. When Hancock arrived, he didn't hesitate and completely trusted him, so he took off all his clothes directly. Turn around. Hancock turned around obediently, and Adolf also lifted his long hair. Use the healing tears just collected to heal the hooves of the dragon on Hancock's back, without leaving any scar marks. Disappeared. Completely disappeared. Marigold and Sandersonia cried with joy. Yeah. Hancock also reacted and trembled in disbelief. Could it be? Could it be that mark? Look. Adolf took out the mirror. His white and smooth back was so beautiful. 2 tears flowed from Hancock's eyes, and the emotions in his heart burst out uncontrollably. Adolf. Thank you. Thank you, Adolf. You gave us new life. Adolf hugged her and comforted her. Then think carefully about what reward you should give me. I will give it to Marigold and Sandersonia and take it away as well. Yeah. Hancock nodded heavily, with a blush on his face. So that day I greeted him affectionately with my mouth. Chapter 25, One Piece E-Speed Version. Boom. A giant 5,000-meter-long Poseidon type, one tail whipped Adolf away. The power carried by the extremely huge body was unimaginable. It was like a mountain fell down. It's so heavy that all the bones in my body are breaking. Adolf held his hands in front of him with difficulty, and his body kept flying backwards. He had been beaten many times. Ha. The giant Poseidon then came and bit into it. The huge mouth was as dark as an abyss and could swallow a huge mountain. Normal attacks are useless at all. They are just like mosquito bites. Life is stuck on fire. Let's end it. Mermaid Jutsu, Uzumaki White Dragon. Adolf suddenly noticed the status of the life card he carried and decided to end it. His hands seemed to be actually grabbing the seawater, and he suddenly threw out a long white dragon that was hundreds of meters wide and tens of thousands of meters wide, and swept away in a turbulent way. Even the giant Poseidon, which was 5,000 meters tall, could not withstand the huge current and was thrown up and out of the sea 1,000 meters high. But it's not over yet. Murloc Karate, Sea-Cutting Waves. The right hand is a palm, which is straight like a knife. The blue flowing water is entwined and slashed with the hand knife. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. A fierce surge rose from the sea, just like the sword skill of the sea itself. The sharp water knife cut the giant Poseidon in two, and the waves extended to the end of the sea level. Viewed from the side, it seems as if the sea water suddenly rises from the sky, turning into a water curtain that stretches out, but it has a sharp edge that splits the island. Even the clouds in the sky were cut open by the sea water. Finally, it turned into torrential rain. The Poseidon, cut into two sections, also fell heavily into the sea, exploding into a shocking water curtain. It turns out that fighting is the fastest way to improve your strength. The physical injury is okay and not serious. There is no need to use healing dandelions to recover. Natural recovery will allow the body to grow. Adolf looked at the dandelions in the test tube. He must carry some of these things with him, as well as healing tears, which have better healing effects. It was also because of this that he dared to fight Poseidons in the windless zone without restraint. It can be said that as long as you don't die on the spot and recover, you can be infinitely close to death and tap your body's potential. Hancock reminds me it's time to go back. He took out the life card in his hand, looked at the direction, and quickly moved forward in the sea. With the swimming speed of the mermaid and his strength, the speed was extremely fast. Boom! Adolf jumped from the sea and returned to the Kuja pirate ship. The black leopard next to him lay half dead and half alive on the ground. The life card was burning because it was slapped by Hancock. In order to prevent phone snooping bugs, they used this method to transmit information. I've wronged you, little black beast. Adolf looked at the aggrieved black beast amusedly. Adolf! Hancock pounced on him regardless of the sea water on him. Even his clothes were soaked, showing a wet fit. Hancock, we haven't seen each other for a few days, and you are so clingy. Adolf hugged Hancock. Maybe Hancock in the anime is not as good-looking as Nami Robin and does not deserve the title of the most beautiful woman in the world, but this infatuated girl who has eyes for you is really lovable. Not to mention the great strength, the identity of the emperor of a daughter country, a country of all women. The powerful and arrogant empress has all her eyes on you. Who can resist? Adolf, I haven't seen you for several days. I miss you so much every day. Hancock hugged Adolf coquettishly. Me too. Shanyuechi was so impressed that he thought about it so much. Then we want to take a shower? Our clothes are soaked. Hancock's eyes lit up, and he wanted to be with Adolf all the time. Not now, there are still a lot of things to do. Adolf looked at Violet. Let's go inside and talk. Violet nodded with a slight blush on her face and followed them into the pirate ship. When Adolf was resting with Hancock and other women, she also saw it with clairvoyance. With the ability to stare at the fruit, her sight cannot be blocked even through walls. Then with great curiosity, I watched until the end. Looking at Hancock's appearance now, I'm afraid he is crossing the mountains and ridges more affectionately. I found the marine base you mentioned and determined the location of the things. Violet said, have you met anyone else during this time? Adolf asked. No, I have been using my powers to observe these days. A ship came hundreds of miles away and then avoided it. The people on the ship did not notice the reaction of the Nine Snakes pirates. They probably didn't see it. Violet said, well done. Violet, please pass on the memory of what you saw to me. Then focus on observing the major generals and lieutenant generals in the base, as well as the distribution of personnel. It is best to mark them on the map. Hancock, come with me tonight. Violet, please stay on the ship and let the Nine Snakes pirates disappear from everyone's sight. Don't let anyone discover it. Only the three of us know about this matter, Not even Marigold and Sandersonia can tell it. Adolf said very solemnly, because the matter is too important. Yeah. The two nodded. It's late at night. Boom. A 3,000-meter giant Poseidon suddenly flew up and landed heavily in the shallow sea. Immediately afterwards, another giant 3,000-meter Poseidon fell. The two Poseidons are like two giant mountains. Even if they are separated by an abyss, they will cause violent earthquakes in the nearby islands. Wow. The impact of the fall set off two tsunamis more than 50 meters high, which raged wildly, submerging shoals, mountains, and all the way to the marine base, and even swept away many sailors. It's bad. Two large Poseidon species appeared on the island. It's so big that a tsunami is coming. What? Why is there a large Poseidon class appearing? Quick, everyone come out and stop them. Lanjiao, a big weasel king. The lieutenant general stationed at the marine base rushed out and suddenly ripped apart the tsunami with a flying blade. Hey, it's too big. It's even more exaggerated than our giants. How are we going to fight this? A lieutenant general from the giants said with cold sweat falling from his forehead. The giants are more than 10 meters tall, while the large Poseidons are 3,000 meters long. Even in terms of height, they start at 1,000 meters. This feeling of raising one's head is like a mantis trying to control a chariot. Don't let the Poseidons come ashore. If they run over and destroy the power rock, it will be over. Another lieutenant general gritted his teeth. Huh? Why did the Poseidon return to the sea on its own? Idiot, do you still want the Poseidons to come over? Everyone, go to the beach and be on guard. While they were on tight alert, Adolf Hancock had already gone around from behind and entered the power rock storage room. Hancock directly petrified the jar and the stones inside. Even living things can be petrified, and dynamic rocks are certainly no exception. They also lose the properties of dynamic rocks. Open the jar directly and take it out roughly. Then put the fake. That's right, it was a luminous stone like a luminous pearl that had been polished and then painted with dye to make it look exactly like what Violet had seen in his memory. With the processing skills of the failed art student, a group of rough guys could see something through the jar, so he unscrewed his head and soaked it in. Is it possible to blow up one to see if it's true? Now, I truly have the confidence to challenge the world government. If you let me gather the space devil fruit ability again, haha. Adolf looked at the pile of stone eggs in front of him and smiled horribly. Chapter 26 5 Elders, Destruction of Fishman Island. It has been more than 3 months, and there is no news at all. The god of scientific defense, Jago Lucia Satan, held his palm. Those two idiots are probably finished. Let's just destroy Fishman Island. Saint Topman Vasuli, the legal martial god, said simply. Let Fegal and Garen Sage go as well. If you dare to do what we did last time, we will kill him together, said the Wano-style financial god of war, Izambalin V. Nashiro Sage. The Fishman Island seems to be carrying the flag of the Whitebeard pirates, said the environmental martial god Marcus Mashing. It doesn't matter. If they dare to come, they will be destroyed. The most indispensable thing in this sea is pirates. Shepherd Tin Peter, the god of agriculture and martial arts, completely ignored the so-called title of the strongest in the world. It should have been like this a long time ago. I've been waiting for so long in vain. Then it's decided, publish the newspaper and destroy Fishman Island in 10 days. Exterminate all fish. The authority of world noble cannot be challenged. In just a few minutes, the supreme power of the world government decided to exterminate a race. Just like the many races that have been wiped out, only a few are left wandering in the sea, hiding incognito. After receiving the order, the Marine Headquarters Fleet Admiral ordered a large number of coaters to be quickly summoned to coat the warships. Adolf is not good. The world government has sent a report that Fishman Island will be destroyed in 10 days. Hancock ran in with the newspaper, extremely anxious. Adolf's heart sank after reading the newspaper. The other people in the room didn't even dare to breathe and looked at him worriedly. Although it was expected, it's still a pity. I thought that kidnapping the Tianlong people would buy me more time, but I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. If you can give me 2.5 years, the world government. Adolf sighed. Do you want to go back to Fishman Island? Hancock stood firmly behind him. Even if it brought disaster to Amazon Lily, this is the love brain. Adolf pressed the back of Hancock's hand and nodded. This incident happened because of me. I can't pretend like I didn't see anything and let so many people suffer from me. According to his original plan, after he had a little bit of strength and could carry it for a few times, he would go to Mr. Kaido for further training. By the way, Yen Calamity Jin's racial lineage was solved, and a wave of explosions took place. Then there is the blood factor of Big Mom, and finally the power of the Whitebeard monster. After practicing hard for 2.5 years, he didn't allow anyone to speak loudly, but the plan couldn't keep up with the changes. He couldn't watch the Fishman Island being destroyed because of him, and he couldn't accept the education he had received. Next, please keep an eye on the movements of Marine and World Government. I'm going to see Doflamingo. That bad guy Doflamingo? Violet undoubtedly hated and was afraid of the bad guy who almost destroyed her country. He is engaged in the arms business in the underground world. He has a large territory in North Blue and can provide me with enough ammunition. Don't worry, if he dares to take advantage of the kingdom of Dressrosa, I will let him die in the sea. He will be useless once I survive this period of time. I can't compare with you in my heart. You are my own person. Adolf stood behind her to comfort her. Well, I believe you. In special circumstances, there is nothing we can do. Violet's face turned slightly red. After spending this time together, she believed in Adolf very much. Exciting things are often seen on the ship. Adolf thought for a while and rubbed his hands at high speed. After a while, a milky white viscous liquid appeared, like high-concentration dish soap. Then he blew a strong breath at the place where his hands were closed, and a huge bubble blew out, wrapping the Nine Snakes pirate ship with great resilience. At the same time, the seawater below is discharged, fully possessing the coating properties. The coating was rubbed out by hand? In the final analysis, coating is the use of bubbles. Fish can secrete special mucus. Mermaid body fluids are processed to be stronger than ordinary coatings. Okay, go ahead and don't let others discover you on the way. It's not the right time to expose yourself yet, Adolf warned. His Majesty the King is in trouble. Something serious is going to happen. The catfish mermaid wearing a top hat came in anxiously holding a newspaper. What's wrong, Minister Zwa? Has something happened to Odoheim? King Neptune of Fishman Island looked at an extremely huge coelacanth mermaid. No, read the newspaper quickly. What? The world government is going to destroy the Fishman Island in 10 days. Exterminate all the fishmen and mermaids. Neptune was horrified and lost all his strength. What? The world government wants. What to do? Fishman Island can't resist at all. The right minister panicked, completely panicked. Don't tell Odoheim about this first, Neptune said quickly. But the newspaper has spread on Fishman Island. Everyone is panicking and wants to escape from Fishman Island. Bang stirrup. Princess Odoheim stood behind. She had heard it, and her tears could not stop flowing. Obviously, we have already obtained the documents signed by the Tianlong people. We are just a little short of landing on land. But why? Why at this time? No, I have to take action. We want the world government to see our determination. We are longing for peace. We are not bad people, and we will not harm others. Sign. Everyone should sign faster. Princess Odoheim rushed out in panic. Go and call Jean Bei. Neptune was so anxious that the sky was falling. Run. Fishman Island is going to be destroyed. It's over. It's all over. We will be hunted endlessly from now on. Adolf, it's all his fault. It's all that guy's fault. Hurry up and pack your bags and run away. If you don't run away, it will be over. Fishman Island has a population of 5 million, and everyone was horrified the moment they saw the newspaper. That is the judgment of death. We can't run. No one can run. After leaving Fishman Island, where can we go? Where is the sunshine and air? Princess Odoheim's anxious voice came from the broadcasting phone book. It will be solved. It can be solved. Let's express our wishes to the world government together. As long as we work together and express that we have no ill intentions, we will be able to do it. Dover, there is no one on the island. Pika blended into the rocks and inspected them. Hey, we won't have to wait for him. Torbol snorted impatiently. Wait a minute, this is a big deal worth billions. Diamanti got off the boat. You guys, please unload the cargo from the ship. Doflamingo directed. Then when should we wait? Wait a minute, after all, this is... Whoa, whoosh. Don't call, it's already here. A polar bear-like sea beast emerged from the water. The huge figure stands 100 meters high, equivalent to a 33-story building. It is tall and fierce, and the shadow is full of oppression. An ordinary pirate ship is like a large toy ship in front of it, and on its back is a mermaid with a slender sky-blue scaled tail. Biowea, Adolf the Godslayer. The bounty is 1 billion Baileys. The man who killed the celestial dragons and forced Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku and Admiral Akainu to kneel. Doflamingo grinned from the corners of his mouth to the roots of his ears and laughed wantonly. It was clearly a laugh, but it revealed unspeakable unruliness and cruelty, as if he suddenly burst into violence the next moment. Without any further ado, let's get straight to the point. Have you brought the samples? Adolf got off the sea beast and scanned it around. His eyes paused for a moment on Monet, Sugar, and Baby, 5. 2 strategic god-level fruits, 1 Logia, and both are beauties. Let's wait until the incident on Fishman Island comes to an end before attacking Doflamingo. Time is too tight now. Did you bring your deposit? Doflamingo stepped on the wooden box and refused to budge. The members of the Don Quixote family vaguely surrounded him, with cruel expressions on their faces, It doesn't look like they have any money. You dare to come without money. Are you kidding our Don Quixote family? It's okay to pay with your 1 billion heads. Mermaid karate, shuei fist. Boom. Adolf ignored them and punched out directly. The white water vapor was like a particle cannon. Doflamingo quickly dodged the punch. However, behind him, countless trees were destroyed. A 2.5-meter ravine on the ground extended for hundreds of meters, and a hole opened in the belly of a mountain. You guy. The veins on Doflamingo's forehead popped out and his blood vessels writhed. No one could bear to be killed suddenly, let alone a cruel person like him in the underground world. However, Adolf had already opened the wooden box and started inspecting the goods, and took out a cannonball. Everyone in the Don Quixote family used their abilities to attack. This guy who dared to offend their young master. Sticky Flow. Stone. The bullfighting chief. The helmet exploded. Snowstorm. Boom buzz. However, one move after another was raised. Adolf's eyes were cold and cold, black thunder swept across, and strong oppression swept away. Everyone stopped suddenly. Their pupils trembled, their bodies trembled, and their teeth trembled. Conqueror's domineering spirit. Are you kidding me, another conquerors? Is the new world so crazy? No matter what anger or cruelty, hold it back. At this moment, they felt like clowns. Chapter 27 Water of Life. This guy. Doflamingo suppressed his temper and began to look at Adolf squarely, instead of treating him as a lucky man who had the good fortune to kill the celestial dragon and become famous. Adolf withdrew his gaze and ignored it. He weighed the black cannonball in his hand and threw it towards the distant mountain. Boom! The fire expanded, and a pit 2 to 3 meters deep exploded. Black smoke billowed, and shadows accompanied the burning fire. The cannons in this world are similar to red cannons. Most of the cannonballs are solid bullets, or explosive bullets with fuses, which need to be ignited with fire before firing. But trigger explosions are not unheard of. The slave collar is one of them. Even the celestial dragons dare to sit on it. This shows that it has never gone wrong and the stability is very good. This kind of artillery shell does not require a fuse, and will not become wet and unusable in the sea, but it is undoubtedly much more expensive. It's okay. How much is a shell like this? Adolf asked directly, showing no sign of what he had just done. 10,000 belly. Doflamingo quoted. 10,000? One piece? Adolf's eyes turned cold. It felt like being slaughtered like a pig. Hey, this is a new type of artillery shell used by Marine. Not many underground arms dealers can produce this kind of product. The iron material is almost enough to forge a sword. Doflamingo introduced. Adolf just remembered that Zoro was in Rog Town. The worst public sword costs 50,000 belly. How good can you say the quality is? What's more, the price on the black market will definitely be higher. It wouldn't be surprising if it doubled. It's not like a merchant ship has been robbed and is in a hurry to get rid of it. Then I want 500,000 coins. 500,000. 5 billion Baileys. The Don Quixote family all grinned. This is a huge business, nearly half of the gold in the sky. I don't have cash, so just use this to pay. Adolf took out 5 test tubes from his arms, which contained a small drop of transparent liquid. You won't tell me that this is worth 5 billion. Doflamingo's cruel temper has risen again. This is treating him like a monkey. A warship is only 100 million Baileys, and an unknown devil fruit is 100 million Baileys. What is this? One bottle can cost 1 billion. The rest of the Don Quixote family couldn't stand it any longer, so they made it clear that they wanted to rob. This is called Water of Life. It has the ability to restore all injuries to living creatures. Even if there is only one breath left, even if it penetrates the heart, it can be restored. The simplest and crudest way to use it is to risk your life. For example, if a top warrior like Whitebeard in the sea recovers from injuries and illnesses, how much more power can he gain? Strong warriors like Kaido and Charlotte are fighting for their lives. Who else can compete with them at the same level? These strong men are fighting for their lives unscrupulously. Who else can stop them? But as long as there is a bottle of Water of Life, he will be the last one standing. A bottle costs 1 billion. Do you still think it's expensive? Adolf shook the 5 test tubes in his hand. The clear liquid attracted everyone's attention and became so moving and bright, as if it was glowing. Put it this way, 1 billion seems really not expensive. Swallowing secretly, as a pirate, he understands the feeling of hanging by a thread. If there was a chance to buy a life for 1 billion Baileys, no one would hesitate. Of course, the premise is that the pirate has so much money, that is to say, it is only for high-end and powerful pirates. A country can collect 10 billion belly from the sky. Who is a more powerful pirate who doesn't own 1 or 2 island countries? Big Mom controls more than 30 small island countries. 1 billion. Is it really a lot? Adolf's words are full of seductive temptations, as if you can bring him back to life and be invincible if you have him. Young master. The Don Quixote family looked at Doflamingo one by one. At this moment, they were really moved. Whether you resell it or keep it to save your life, it is a very good choice. Hey! What you said really moved me. Is it a living devil fruit? Or a scientific research product? How can I be sure of its effectiveness? Doflamingo looked at Adolf, grinning wildly. Effect? I hope you can come and experience it for yourself. I'm also worried that you might miss the mark at the critical moment, so it's necessary for you to know who you are facing. Even if I fail in the subsequent confrontation, it will still be more than enough to save my life and come back to hunt you down. Adolf looked at Doflamingo and ignored the first question. You guy. Floating fruit diamanti couldn't bear it anymore. This guy didn't take them seriously at all. Others were on guard to prevent Adolf from making a sudden move, and were also preparing to attack. Doflamingo's face darkened, and his eyes could not be seen clearly under his sunglasses, but he soon burst into laughter again. Hey! This battle can be avoided. If you have that strength, why not think about how to deal with the next battle? Just test whether the goods are genuine or not. He randomly selected a lucky guy and raised his hand. Wait, young master, I bounced the thread. The undetectable line segments flew like bullets, passing through the heart in an instant, and the powerful impact tore the heart into pieces. Doflamingo set his sights on Adolf and said, It's your turn to perform. Adolf opened a test tube and poured the water of life onto the wound. It miraculously healed in an instant. It was that simple. Okay, it's completely fine. The younger brother stood up and jumped excitedly. Really? This thing is really so effective. It can even destroy your heart? Everyone was surprised. If it weren't for the blood on the younger brother's chest, they would all have doubted whether they had seen it wrong. Wait a minute. This portion is worth 1 billion Baileys. How dare you waste 1 billion Baileys? Go to hell. Torbull reacted and used his ability to kill him with great annoyance. Before he was happy, he died again in 2 seconds, and this time he died like a scum. The other low-level boys trembled when they saw it, and they also felt silent for this companion. What a bad luck. It's a good thing, but it's hard for me to do things for you without cash, Adolf. For such a big order of 500,000 pieces, and you don't have cash, even if I want to join forces with other underground arms dealers, there is nothing I can do. Doflamingo spread his hands and expressed embarrassment. He couldn't be allowed to contribute money and effort, right? Then dilute this thing. The value of the panacea is even more profitable than arms. The noble king is willing to pay for his own life. Adolf threw the healing urine in his hand. Hey, those garbage are really willing to spend money on themselves. Doflamingo caught the 3 bottles of test tubes and laughed full of ridicule. That's right, it's healing urine, not tears. Whoever eats the devil fruit is who he is. The healing fruit heals the person, the tears shed are healing tears, and the urine is of course healing urine. Even healing excrement. Evil Cruel points to healing blood, but that's not necessary. For others to use, there is no psychological burden at all with feces, urine, etc. Even Princess Manxili blushed and dared not go out. Excessive shame. It's just that the little humans are too small. They are only as big as an ordinary person's fist. What they can pee and pull out is pitifully small. All I can say is, drink more hot water. The advanced application of the healing fruit is to restore everything to its original state, regardless of organic and inorganic. Even restoring physical strength, restoring life, restoring age, and such bug-like operations are not impossible. It all depends on development. As long as you use it, it will be counted on your head, and these 4 will be considered as your deposit. Doflamingo added, I don't care how you got here, but I haven't seen 100,000 shells after 8 days. Just wait and fill them up. The remaining 400,000 shells need to arrive within 2 months. Adolf can completely accept it. He even had it with him, but he didn't take it out. Follow him, and then send what I want back to Fishman Island. He turned around and ordered to the tame polar bear and sea beast behind him. Ouch! The polar bear-like sea beast patted its chest and nodded repeatedly. The sea beast itself has certain intelligence, but it can only be tamed by strong men from the mermaid or fishman tribe. Hallelujah. Then I'll wait and see. Don't die so easily. Doflamingo couldn't help but look up to the sky and laugh wildly, waving his hands as if to tear everything into pieces, full of chaos and madness. At this moment, I hope Adolf can win. Let those high-ranking guys fall off the altar. Chapter 28 Whitebeard Pirates. Dad, our flag is still flying on Fishman Island, and the world government doesn't take us seriously at all. How dare you make such a big show of it? It's so arrogant. Captain Namir, Fishman Island is your country. You should say something. Father, give the order. On the Moby Dick, the crew members of the Whitebeard Pirates were all shouting unhappily. The island flying their flag still dares to be destroyed at any time. Doesn't this mean they want to start a war with them? Idiot, stop making noise. Marco had a headache. He was really tired from being a nanny all day long. There is an old man holding a bottle on top and a group of howling idiots below. Every worry-free. He raised his head and looked worriedly at the white beard beside him. Dad, stop drinking. Your body is? If you can't even drink wine, life will be too boring. Whitebeard didn't pay attention at all. He poured wine bottles and newspapers in one hand and poured down the wine. Although it is not possible to wear a hanging bottle every day in the future, depending on his physical fitness, the pain does not break out in one day. This is a long-term deterioration process. As a pirate wandering on the sea, there are people coming to challenge him every 3 days and wiping the butts of his idiot sons. But there is no way he can compare with the old guys from Marine Garp and Sengoku Konku. Marco, Whitebeard and other strong men suddenly noticed something and turned around to look. At the next moment, the sea surface exploded and a huge figure appeared. A huge sea beast like a black panther. However, compared to giant pirate ships like the Moby Dick, it's a little worse. Sea beast? Hahaha, let's have a snack today. The first reaction is not fear, but the prey that comes to their door. This is the confidence given to them by their strong strength. Just like wealth and low self-esteem will not appear in one person at the same time. Don't rush to do it, this has an owner. Marco scratched his head and looked at the man on the sea beast with embarrassment. Just after he finished speaking, a figure jumped down from above. Ah, Adolf. Ha. Banquet. Brothers are having a banquet. Everyone's eyes widened, and then they burst into laughter the next moment. Now Adolf is really famous all over the world, even more famous than those big pirates. Which pirate is so strong that Marine Fleet Admiral can kneel down and hold his head? Just this newspaper cover, countless pirates cut it out and put it on the ship. Even a large amount of printing was stuffed into the cannon and fired towards the branch base, which was full of ridicule. It can be said that this newspaper is the best bought by Lao Niao, the most promotional and the most eye-catching. Of course, the old bird also hides and travels all over the world for this reason. The banquet will wait until I defeat the Marine Fleet. Adolf looked up and looked at a man who was as tall as a giant and full of domineering power, as if he stood tall and tall. This is not talking about body shape, but physique, a long-term momentum. Even just sitting there, it feels like an insurmountable mountain. His heart was filled with excitement when he saw it. Not only did it not become a mountain that he couldn't climb in his heart, it actually stirred up waves. I want to give the man who is called the strongest in the world a try, and I even want to acquire his talents. Think of it as Pray Edward Newgate. Whitebeard looked at Adolf and saw the fighting spirit in his eyes. Gla la 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 brat. You also want to challenge me? Whitebeard laughed heartily and boldly. This is also one of the purposes of my coming. Adolf made no secret of his purpose. Huh? Challenge Dad? You're kidding. Don't think you're qualified to challenge Dad because there's a bounty of 1 billion Baileys on your head, you bastard. Before, a guy named Shah Crocodile came to challenge Dad, but Dad tied him to a fishing rod and fished with the golden hook in his left hand. Let us come and play with you, little mermaid. Ha. Everyone in Baituan laughed out loud, not believing that Adolf had that kind of strength at all. If he was strong, how could he be captured and auctioned as a slave? Gla la la la. The kid is really awesome now, let's give it a try. Whitebeard laughed boldly and stood up, pulling out the machete from behind. In the Sabaody Islands incident, almost all pirates had a special liking for Adolf. There is no way. This will make them happy for the rest of their lives. Wait a moment, let's finish talking first. Adolf stopped. He also really wants to fight immediately and gain that monster-like power. It's about Fishman Island. Whitebeard sat down again, picked up the wine and took a few sips. His expression darkened. Sure enough, it's still the same thing. Marco's head hurt, and he looked vaguely at the captain of the 8th Division, Namir. To be honest, he really didn't want the Whitebeard pirates to have a head-on conflict with the world government because of Fishman Island. Following Whitebeard along the way, he saw the true strength and size of the world government. Only a kid who doesn't understand anything and hasn't seen the cruelty of the sea will be passionate and fearless. Because of ignorance, I have no fear. Yes, I hope the Whitebeard pirates can provide 300,000 marine shells. Of course it won't be for free. I can buy them with Bailey. Adolf said directly. Huh. Whitebeard and Marco were stunned at this. Marco asked confirmingly, do you want to resist the world government's destruction of Fishman Island on your own? You can only protect Fishman Island by yourself. We must also learn to stand bravely in the sunshine on our own strength. We are a race that lives in the sea, and we are the darlings of the sea. As long as we muster the courage, no one can defeat us. Adolf's extremely certain and firm tone. Although a person has come to this world of pirates, his spirit and soul will always come from a nation that cannot be crushed. Gula la 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 la. I underestimate you a little, Adolf. Whitebeard is full of pride. Even his blood boils with these words. Marco stood there blankly looking at him. He originally thought he was here to ask for help. He even thought of all kinds of unbearable scenes where he would cry and beg, but he never expected that it would turn out like this. And at this moment, he seemed to see the real Phoenix in Adolf, the indelible will. If you just rely on your spirit, you can't do anything. Teach grinned while holding the cherry pie. But if you don't have such spirit, you can't do it. Chapter 29 Robbery of Marine Base. What's that? Whitebeard watched Adolf take out 3 test tubes. Water of life. I sold it to Doflamingo for 1 billion Baileys per test tube. 1 billion Baileys. Just one drop? Isn't it too expensive? Everyone's eyes were about to fall out of shock. Adolf opened the test tube and threw out the liquid inside, landing on Whitebeard. Whitebeard didn't resist and let it fall on him, but with a little curiosity. At the moment of contact, a miracle happened. The scarred body that had experienced thousands of battles recovered in an instant. Especially the ailments that bothered Whitebeard have all disappeared. The healing fruit can of course heal not only injuries, but also illnesses and poisonings. It can be said that any side effects and adverse conditions can be cured. This is the devil fruit? Yeah. Almost at the same time, Whitebeard felt a long-lost sense of relaxation, and his heart was beating strongly. Boom buzz. The powerful aura is raging, as if a sleeping beast has awakened, causing inexplicable strong winds to rage. What's going on? What's wrong with Dad? What did this guy do? It couldn't be poisoning, right? You idiot. Open your eyes and look. All the injuries on Dad's body are gone. Marco, who had been listless all the time, also opened his eyes wide. Dad's disease is cured. Whitebeard's intravenous drip was never a shock. What really troubled him was illness, which occurred as the body aged. Even people like Roger would die soon due to illness. Zifa also suffered a decline in combat effectiveness due to asthma. Goo la 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 la. It's so relaxing like never before. It feels like I'm back when I was young. Whitebeard stood up, his strong body full of strength, and a powerful force from the inside out came out. Kid, you should have waited until the challenge was over before giving this to me. There is no chance of winning now. Whitebeard drank a few more gulps of wine. It was so satisfying. I didn't think about defeating you now. Wouldn't it be nice to see the world's strongest in all-round condition? Adolf said with a smile. Dad, it's better to drink less wine. Marco, the pineapple head, was helpless. It's so rare to be so happy. How can I skip the wine? Whitebeard was a little helpless, but he was also very happy for this son who cared about him. This was his one piece. Hahaha Marco, Dad's injuries are all healed. Let's have a banquet. The banquet gangster said happily. Hey, you guys have to work. 3 bottles of water of life, worth 3 billion belly in exchange for 300,000 cannonballs. Adolf is very troubled by this group of stupid pirates. Even the Whitebeard pirates, who have a better reputation, are still pirates who burn and plunder. But there is no way. It is difficult for good people to survive in this world, let alone support a force. 300,000. Are you going to destroy a country? Buster Call doesn't even have so many shells. But it doesn't seem like much to use against the world government, right? Brothers from Division 3 are coming with me to rob the Marine base. This is Team 4. Team 5 gathers. Where are the members of the 6th Division? Don't let others get ahead. Suddenly, the people who were still shouting about the banquet immediately went out to sea, and the atmosphere became like a competition. Marco was puzzled. Dad hasn't said anything about these idiots yet. What does it matter? I am also very happy that my son showed his filial piety to his father. Whitebeard was moved and shouldered a huge responsibility on his shoulders. This thing has 1 billion bottles, and you already know the effect. The best way to use it is to fight for your life in high-end battles without worrying about mere fatal injuries. Adolf threw the remaining 2 bottles to Whitebeard. 2 strong men of similar strength had seriously injured each other. You suddenly took out a bottle of red, and the gap widened instantly. To the extreme, bet on lives and dig out each other's hearts. I just don't know if these big and arrogant pirates can pull off the dirty tricks. If they are too stupid, they might take them out and throw them to the ground. Because I feel despicable. A mere fatal injury. Everyone looked at Adolf speechless and could not speak. Marshal D. Teach looked at the 2 bottles of test tubes and couldn't help but ask, is this a devil fruit ability? Or is it a scientific potion? Does the panacea really exist? Adolf looked at him and saw that he was still a fat man who got along well with his companions. He didn't even have a beard, and he didn't have the slightest trace of cruelty, greed, or sinister ambition. He smiled meaningfully, secret. He quite recognized Teach. Among all the pirates, he was the only one who seriously played the role of a pirate, not the Prince's Travels. Although they are sinister and cruel, they are ordinary people, quietly lurking in daily life, risking everything to seize the only opportunity that comes your way. Ah, sorry, this is a treasure worth 1 billion Baileys. Teach scratched his head in embarrassment, looking harmless. Then Whitebeard, let me see the strongest person in the world next. Adolf was furious. Warring States period Akainu's bloodline factor allowed him to grow rapidly, and he could no longer restrain his greed for monster-like power. La 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 la. Then come back? Edward Newgate laughed. Report, this is the Whitebeard pirate surveillance ship. We have discovered Adolf. Adolf, finally out. Veins popped up on Sangwa's forehead, and uncontrollable anger burned in his heart. Hahahaha, don't be angry at Sengoku. Ask that boy what he's doing, and ask Whitebeard to rescue him. Garp couldn't help but burst out laughing, not trying to comfort him at all. Asshole, you're laughing too. It's embarrassing for our whole marine family. Sengoku couldn't help but roared over. Randomly holding back his anger on the phone, he asked, what did that kid do? The phone bug perfectly imitates the Sengoku period of gnashing one's teeth, but having to endure and maintain rational restraint. It's too far away to confirm, but the captains of each division of the Whitebeard pirates suddenly went out on a boat? Going out? At this time, Warring States frowned and felt extremely suspicious. The distance was too far, otherwise he would directly see that Whitebeard had recovered from his injuries and illnesses, but Marine knew that it was only a matter of time. Oh no, Whitebeard is attacking us. Boom, bang, bang dash. Even though it was hundreds of miles away, a warship was torn apart in an instant. Everyone was shocked to death, and then was submerged by a raging tsunami. That guy with Whitebeard isn't going to Fishman Island, is he? Garp asked while chewing sunbae. If Whitebeard wants to intervene, things will be complicated. We are not ready for a full-scale war with Whitebeard, and fighting under the sea is also very detrimental to Sakaski and the others. Warring States also became embarrassed. The three major generals now are not 8 years from now, and they have not yet grown to that point. But now Whitebeard is not old and seriously ill for 8 years, and he is not still dragging out the diaphragm before the war. It can be said that there is a huge difference in combat power, especially at the bottom of the sea. If the Junjin fruit goes crazy, no one with abilities will be able to escape. Who is not afraid of this? Garp, you huh? Where's Garp? Sangwa suddenly came back to his senses and realized. Warring States Fleet Admiral, Lieutenant General Garp said that he will go back to the East China Sea for vacation. This year's leave will be taken early. The adjutant next to him was even more embarrassed. What? Garp you guy dash. Zhang Guoqi's nose was crooked. He actually ran away when he was needed at such a critical moment? But something happened that annoyed him even more. Sengoku Fleet Admiral is in trouble. The G7 base has been attacked. It's the Whitebeard pirates. What? Requesting support, G8 base was attacked by pirates. It's Diamond Josie, come to support. Foil Bista appears at G9 base. Hold on, I've asked Porcelino to support him. Damn it, does that Whitebeard guy want to start a war? Sengoku clenched his fists to suppress his anger. Chapter 30 Ruler of the Sea. Mermaid Karate, Shuei Fist. Adolf was in the sea and punched out. The water cannon roared straight, like a particle beam passing through. The sea surface gave way and formed a groove of air waves. The best is like water, the softest is hard. A drop of water can penetrate a stone. Even if the water is soft, its power is boundless. If the high pressure is bundled into one point, it can penetrate even the hardest steel. To some extent, this is already a molecular level attack. Water molecule beam. Goo la la la. The kid has a lot of trouble, so I should be a little more serious. Shocking knife, J broken. A ball of twisted white light energy condensed on the blade, and it suddenly split the atmosphere with a slash. The entire atmosphere in front shook, turning into a shattering impact that tore everything apart. Although it is invisible, it has the power of destruction that is invisible to the naked eye. In other words, what is invisible to the naked eye is truly terrifying, because this is beyond what the naked eye can see. The sea was shaken and swept away by huge waves. This truly shows the terrifying power of overwhelming rivers and seas. Boom! The two attacks seemed to cross space and collide in vain. Visible air waves and water waves erupted from the interaction, and the sea water was pushed away for hundreds of meters, forming a huge depression. Crash! The impact and air waves immediately set off a tsunami tens of meters high, and waves swept towards the distance. The whole sea area is turbulent. It was like a punch hitting the table and shaking the cup up, causing water to surge up and splash across the entire sea surface. The sea is like this, and the atmosphere is even more like this, with violent wind and waves sweeping across the sky. Hurry and grab the boat. Don't be thrown out. What kind of monster is that guy? He can actually take a blow from Dad? How was he enslaved? Was he captured after a shipwreck? Idiot. She is a mermaid. How could there be a shipwreck? Namur, why didn't you tell such a strong guy earlier? Didn't I say it? I didn't know him before. On the Whitebeard pirate's ship, everyone hugged the hull tightly, and some people were even carelessly thrown out. In this rough sea, the Moby Dick seemed extremely small, and the waves were violently bumping and undulating. Hahahaha. Whitebeard. Adolf rolled up the waves and sat on the wave, completely excited. I came to this world as a slave and started hiding myself. I could only fight with Poseidons and sparring with Hancock. I have never had such a passionate battle and vented all my power. GLA la la la. Attack as much as you like. It's been a long time since I felt such a relaxed body. Let me move around. Whitebeard laughed boldly and even took the initiative to attack. Shocking swordy slash. The vibrating force that distorted the atmosphere condensed on the blade, and it was swung downwards with all its strength, splitting the atmosphere, and the sea was torn out of a 1,000-meter rift, like a vibrating strike and destruction. Mermaid karate, sea-cutting tide. A slashing attack from the sea, as if the sea itself had taken action. While the sea splits, the sea fights back. Both have the terrifying power to tear the island apart. When the two collide, an unimaginable scene happens. A huge cavity 1,000 meters deep was instantly discharged, revealing the seafloor rock that was riddled with holes and turned into powder. However, in the sky above, it was like a sea pillar rising from an island in the sky, stirring up ocean currents that reached the sky and even penetrated the clouds. The water waves above turn into heavy rain and fall, and the hollow below forms a wave backflow. Mermaid Jiu-Jitsu, Qianlang Island collapse. The hands grasped the sea as if it were material, and the sea had an invisible tide. The armed tentacles became extensions of the limbs, and they spun around in a circle with all their strength and threw them out. However, the next moment, with the Moby Dick as the center, layers of huge waves swept towards the center and submerged it. One wave is higher than the next, from 10 meters at the beginning to even more than hundreds of meters in the back, and the sea is boiling for dozens of miles in radius. Is this guy a devil fruit user? He can actually control the sea? Are you kidding? Can a mermaid do this? More exaggerated than that guy from Jean Bay. The tsunami is coming. Protect the ship quickly. Goo la la la. Sons, hurry up. Whitebeard couldn't help but laugh. Shock ya tsunami. The fingers of both hands were tearing apart, and the atmosphere was twisting visibly to the naked eye. At the next moment, the entire sea was like a circular staircase, showing layers of staggered sea stairs, and the sea water rose and fell in a straight line. 1,000-story tsunamis that were enough to shatter the island were also torn apart by this powerful force. Whitebeard. These two moves of mine are okay. Adolf was not surprised at all. Instead, his tail fin rolled up the water column and attacked Whitebeard at close range. There is something like Neza in the sea, the posture of the Dragon King of the East China Sea, riding on the waves and rising on the water column. Siege Trident. Like Zeus holding thunder as a weapon, he also pulled out a trident made of seawater from the sea. The color of the weapon was entwined with azure colors, and he used the sea as a weapon. Is this the special ability of the mermaids? They can actually control seawater. Whitebeard laughed, becoming more optimistic about Adolf, and at the same time raised his naginata to resist. Boom boom. At the moment of collision, the entire Moby Dick sank, as if a giant object of 10,000 tons suddenly fell. The two collided, and Adolf and Edward Newgate looked at each other very close, grinning wildly, with an indescribable lofty ambition. When the stalemate was about to sink into the sea after a breath or two, Whitebeard suddenly pushed Adolf away from an unparalleled monster-like distance, and the ship also suddenly relieved its force and floated up. It's not that Whitebeard can't hold it anymore, but standing on the Moby Dick, the ship is going to be stressed, and beyond the critical point, the ship won't be able to hold on. What a terrifying power, truly a monster. Adolf suddenly felt an uncontrollable distance and flew backwards. He suddenly discovered that it was not the Junjin fruit that made Whitebeard. On the contrary, it was Whitebeard that made the Junjin fruit famous. If it weren't for Whitebeard's powerful strength, even the vibrating power of the shock wave fruit would only be the same as that of a person with the East China Sea shock wave fruit ability, shattering a ship, and it might even require direct contact. The vibration in the air is just a wave of air, not the power to destroy the world. That's right. Can't Jean Bay catch the current and throw him over his shoulder? Adolf stopped his body, held the armed seawater trident in both hands, stirred up the seawater and waved it away, causing a wave of tens of meters high to rise immediately. He's not as exaggerated as you. He's like the god of the sea. Whitebeard slashed out with his sword and tore the waves into pieces. Adolf passed through the repulsed waves and attacked again at close range with an armed seawater trident in his hand. Hahaha. Not bad, Poseidon, ruler of the sea. Bang! Boom! With each encounter, the Moby Dick shuddered. As the battle progressed, shocking cracks appeared on the hull, and countless wooden boards were torn apart by waves like water cannons. Woohoo! The sea is boiling. The The waves are turbulent, powerful storms are raging, and the heavy rain keeps falling like bullets. If ordinary people were here, they would really be blown to the sky by the storm, beaten to death by rain bullets, and their bones would be broken. It can be said that the entire sea has become an enemy. Everyone in the world is against them. They may be overturned at any time. People can't help but worry about how long they can last. This kid's attacks are getting heavier each time, and his growth rate is really amazing. Whitebeard became more and more excited as he swung his Naginata. It's like beating a piece of fine gold, taking off the outer shell, revealing the bright light inside. Dad, we can't fight anymore. Our ship won't be able to hold it anymore. It's so foul. The sea is not only his weapon, but also a barrier to protect him. Damn it. The mermaid tribe is too shameless. Namware, hold on to the ship. If I hadn't been at the helm, the boat would have capsized. GLA la la la. It seems like the kid can't fight anymore. Let me show you something good. Don't die. The veins in Whitebeard's arm popped out, and he opened it with a monster-like force. Immediately afterwards, in addition to the twisted vibration ability, the Naginata also had black lightning entanglement and domination. Conqueror's entanglement.